All right, welcome in, welcome in. We are live. NFL Week 15 is already hot, chat. Hey, yo, a lot of action to go through. The late window is gonna be, we'll say exciting. We've got some, some high level playoff games with some real stakes. But there's also just again the excitement. I guess if you want to say excitement, Philip Rivers has already taken the field. I guess. Hey, yo. It's going to be a little bit of a nervous, interesting live stream, just kind of watching our teams handle this. Watch our team handle this game. And Ayo, just kind of a exciting, depressing day in general. Like we said, we got Philip Rivers taking the field. We've got the Chiefs. I guess it's exciting that the league is looking different. I just unfortunately, if you're tuned in for the Chiefs hate, this is a pro Mahomes show. So it is what it is. Our guys out of the playoffs, unfortunately. I don't know. Hey, yo, America's going to be talking about it. I don't know if it's the place to start, but he ends the game, of course, with the knee injury. So I don't know if the Chiefs fans are immediately going to be like, well, there's an asterisk on the season. Mahomes got hurt. It's like, I don't know if that's exactly the way that it played out. But that last drive in general, just being in that spot, that down 3 last drive, of course, a familiar spot for this entire Chiefs run. But they're 6-7 this year, so it's not a hot take to say that what are the trust rankings of them in a moment like that. But with Mahomes and the Chiefs, the factor should have been that they should have, I guess, always been, or always be trustworthy in those type of situations, in those type of environments where, okay, we need just a couple of plays at the end of the game. It's been a close game, maybe not the prettiest game, hard fought. The defenses have made a couple of plays to step up, but the score is still close. The offense has that's the spot the Chiefs have been in time and time again over this run, where we felt like, that's where we trust Mahomes. And I guess, it's difficult. We don't want to, the man was definitely offensively, there was sometimes it did definitely go both ways. I think it was, the expectations of Mahomes, obviously, he's got the most expectations of anybody on the roster. So we're going to hold him in the highest regard. But there was a lot of times, like we're saying, both ways, where Mahomes had opportunities to make plays, and maybe like in this game as well too. He had an interception in the fourth quarter that was costly when they were driving it almost in the red zone, and it was kind of a tough pass. Like Kareem Hunt wasn't really open. He was the defender, had a step on him down the sideline, and he just, the classic ran the better route, got the pick. But there was multiple times where those classic we trust Mahomes situations, like, and we're not, how dramatic do we want to get after, one season? It's been such a great run, and again, for where he was at as well too, like we're saying, the expectations for drafting him and him taking over that franchise, and just one of the great runs that any team has ever had. And you're never gonna, at any point when a dynasty is over, or anytime you have talent, we're not writing Mahomes off, but whoa, Hutch, chat, oh, Hutch, hey, he just picked off Stafford, he might take it all the way. He's got the tight end trying to run him down. Oh, chat, the tight end's a party pooper. Hey, yo. Hutch with the interception of this. He intercepted Stafford off the screen pass. I think he might have got Detroit near the red zone on the return. Hey, yo. Myles Garrett's doing some historic stuff this year. Definitely taking a lot of the storylines. But Hutch, do we have to go back and check Hutch's per game sack totals? The year he got hurt, it felt like he was kind of pacing for record-breaking stuff there. But hey, crazy athletic plays, and that's just them off of the missed field goal as well too. They had the opportunity to take an early, easy 3-1 lead, but 3-0 lead. But now they have the ability to kind of correct that as well too. So yeah, they're at the 17-yard line, taking over this possession here. But yeah, there was. I'm trying to remember. Within the last couple of games, there was one where Mahomes was definitely running around. Going back to Mahomes, and there was a couple of plays that this should have been caught here. Oh, maybe a block here. The pressure, but time and time again, it would have been easier to accept the Chiefs having a difficult season this year, or make more sense of it if they were genuinely worse than some of the other teams, and their roster is maybe not the same that it's been in the past, but it's not still a bad team. Maybe we just have to be brutally honest about the talent they do have, and just go, okay, it is maybe a mid roster at the end of the day. But okay, it's like we still, whatever we're saying about Mahomes, it's still Mahomes. So we're just gonna say that the quarterback spot is fine. They have Patrick Mahomes there. Chris Jones, still a all-pro level defender. Is he gonna be? I think he still is in the mix for best defensive tackle in the league. I don't think that is a hot take. When he's out there, they still have McDuffie in the secondary. Like, that's still it's still a lot of the same names defensively that they have. And I get the offensive line is a little bit different, but again, I think you go kind of play to play, and it just feels like there is opportunities for them to get yardage, third down scenarios. There was turnovers that they would have, incomplete plays. Butker missing a couple of field goals throughout the season as well too, where he's been a reliable guy for them in the run. When they were at the peak of their powers. So if it was genuinely, you went through these matchups and it was like them, because that's where the Eagles Super Bowl and the Tampa Bay Super Bowl, and the Eagles Super Bowl, I don't know if there's, probably not too much revisionist history on that. Like, the roster that they had, of course, was really elite and were able to perfectly match up with what the Chiefs were throwing on the field. But that Tampa Bay Super Bowl is one that, yes, obviously Chiefs fans, and again, that's a Super Bowl as well too, so that's a pretty good season that you're having if you're getting to the Super Bowl. But Chiefs fans are looking at that game specifically as, the Tampa Bay roster was just a way better roster than the Kansas City roster, and they don't necessarily, and again, maybe it was just a really great game that they played as well too, and really dominated that game. But that's not what this season was. This season wasn't them time and time again, I don't think, necessarily being outmatched. Again, like, overall, I get that there may be specific spots in the field where they might not be as strong as before. But like we're saying, a lot of that is, Mahomes as well too, where maybe they've not, and, again, what expectations do we want to hold them to? Like, oh, you're not the, the biggest Band-Aid in the league where you can just, like, fix all the problems. Like, is it fair that you can get a good team around you as well too and help you out there? But, when you're a great quarterback, you're a great quarterback, and that is what some of these, a guy like Josh Allen as well too this year. Like, the Bills, I still think I would take the Chiefs roster over the Bills. Like, we could definitely go look through it and double check. And the Bills definitely have a lot of underrated guys. Their defense maybe, the season stats sometimes can't be great, but, you go play to play. And again, with they're healthy as well too, like, there is a lot of really good personnel there. But outside of Josh Allen and Mahomes, like, the Chiefs do have a genuinely great roster here. Let me just, can we remember all 32 teams? I guess we can't necessarily remember all 32 rosters, but I mean, I would still probably take the Chiefs over, again, just looking at, like, the NFC East. You're taking the Chiefs over the Cowboys. I get to the Cowboys have, like, better receivers. Bringing in Quinton Williams has helped with some of the run defensive stuff for sure, but you're still taking them over that team. Obviously, there's, like, a handful of teams that I think we can just go without saying that, yes, okay, the Chiefs, at this point in the season, we're still in contention for a playoff spot, so yes, they're not, they're not the Jets at this point. They're not the Titans. I guess Simmons, Cam Ward. What are we taking Cam Ward over Mahomes at this point? I don't know. But could Cam Ward have gone 6-8 in the Titans this year? I'm not, or not on the Titans. I guess not. But could he have gone 6-8 on the Chiefs? I'm not sure. The Steelers, that is an interesting one. I still think I would take and maybe it is, again, the familiar. I mean, it is got to be that, the familiarity of the names with the legacies that they have had over the last couple of seasons, and just believing that they can still eventually accomplish that. But, the Bengals as well too, even like a fully healthy Ravens. I get there is some, like, if we're taking, quarterbacks off the table, and maybe Stroud versus Mahomes is an interesting conversation this year. No, Stroud didn't have the greatest start, but obviously, the team is turning in the right direction now. But Texans roster versus Chiefs roster, now you're starting to make cases. Honestly, Colts as well too. Mahomes and the Colts it's not bad. Do we trade, what do they want, Daniel Jones and a couple of picks? We don't have, well, I guess we don't have picks to trade. Daniel Jones and Sauce Gardner for Mahomes. Maybe we can make that work somehow. I'm not sure. But, Broncos, I think the Broncos and maybe the Chargers fully healthy do have a case, which of course they played today. They, got the win over the Chiefs. Maybe they do have a case to be better than Kansas City, but they're not, the fully healthy version of the Chargers. But they did get, obviously good performances today as well too. And I didn't check the stats for Hampton's game yet, but it felt like they were able to rely on the run game as well too. to kind of help close that one out. Obviously, the Chiefs did get a drive there, even at the end, to get and that's when Mahomes had the injury, and then, Gardner Minshew was the one that threw the pick at the end of the game. I'm pulling up the Chargers lineup here on PFF just to double check. Hey, they have Uyunglele as the backup, so if we're considering, the entire quarterback rooms, Herbert, Trey Lance, and DJ Uyunglele, chat. The Chargers are stacked. The quarterback. It is what it is. Derwin James definitely carries some name value. Khalil Mack as well, too. But what do we got? Dante Jackson is having a good graded quarterback season as well, too. Still is a quarterback that could be a little underrated. Cam Hart. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely in the mix for sure. But I think even the offensive line of the Chiefs is still probably better than the offensive line of the Chargers. I mean, you're getting Creed Humphrey alone as well too. And again, this version of it, obviously Slater and we don't even remember all the guys that are. Oh, Joe Alt is also hurt. So again, they don't this version of the Chargers. I'm not saying that fully healthy Chargers. I get it, they have a case, but this version of the Chargers versus this version of the Chiefs. I guess Mahomes healthy on the last couple of plays. Then I guess Gardner Minshew on the last couple of plays. That does make sense, but I think the Chiefs definitely backed themselves into a corner here, and yes, the Mahomes injury is a thing that affected the end of the game. I don't know if it is going to be the thing that we look back and say, really affected the season. Even Chiefs versus the Patriots as well, too, is a tough one. I know that the Patriots lineup might be, just in terms of, again, the sort of guys in the lineup may be undervalued. Obviously, the team success this year and that team, we can get to that game as well too, but Christian Gonzalez, versus McDuffie is definitely a pretty good argument. But I think I would still probably take McDuffie, maybe a little bit more versatile, but I don't know, Gonzalez a little bit more, willing to just kind of compete with the guy for the entire game. But I think McDuffie would do that as well too. And they do have Carlton Davis as well as their other corner. The receivers, Diggs maybe the best receiver on the field between the two teams. But otherwise, you got Mac Hollins and Kashawn Booty. And, again, those are really good receivers. But I don't think they're, is there a definite difference there between Rashee Rice and Hollywood Brown and all these? So, again, obviously, are they miles ahead of everybody else? Are you looking at the Chiefs going, are they the OKC vaunted roster in the past? But, are they the team where is Mahomes, Jokic at this point kind of even – Jokic more last season. Obviously, the Denver team improved over the offseason this year and are much more, able to compete with maybe some of the top teams. But even his ability to just make that team go, oh, man, they're going to be in the playoff run. They're going to at least question what they can, you're going to question what they can compete against some of these top teams. And he went to 7 as well, too, against that OKC team last year, which at this point now, maybe has been a little bit forgotten as well. And again, it's a different team. There is that reset of like, maybe Denver can actually get him this year. But it's like that Denver team that was not written. Murray was definitely having some better playoff games, so we got to give him his respect. You got to have those. But Jokic was just, absolutely battling that team. It's like, okay, this is, becoming the best team in NBA history, and Jokic is doing all he can, taking them to 7 games. It's incredible stuff. You don't want to call it the MJ versus Boston back in the day, but I don't know if there's some parallels to just, a guy going crazy in a series. But also, Caruso has some moments as well, too. They, OKC, they had their moments where they were doing a good job defensively. But yeah, that has been the difficult part for the Chiefs, is it has been, it's been performance issues for Kansas City. I don't know if it has, and that is maybe encouraging at the end of the day. I guess you don't want your team to be like, well, what happened to our roster? We have nobody. Maybe our front office has, how do we trust them now? But again, I would still think the Chiefs front office still seems, the infrastructure there still seems good. I know maybe Andy Reid, is he kind of in the spot where he was at the end of the Philly run? We're not saying that they need to go into the offseason and replace Andy Reid necessarily. But, they're going to make moves to improve and get better, as you would just as a team. But, and, I think offensive lines across the league, hot take. Everybody can add offensive linemen in the offseason. I don't think that kind of goes without saying. There are, of course, teams that do have more established, established units there. But in general, it feels like a lot of teams can definitely go in and upgrade some spot on the offensive line, or just some guy leaves. There's always going to be, there's always going to be some version of a job there that you can replace in the draft or something like that. So it's like, yes, the Chiefs probably need offensive linemen at some point. But again, for the most part, if you're running this team back, now we're running it back with the mental energy of this past season. And not necessarily, like we're saying, wiping out the legacy stuff of the years before. But it is just the fact that they played a little bit down to competition this year. And again, we could really go back and check the film and, try to make excuses for why the results were the way they were. But here, let me just go back and double check their losses as well too. And did they get swept by the Chargers this year? Because the Chargers lost him, or got him in week 1 as well. And the other loss that immediately I think of, and as I'm pulling it up here, is the Cowboys loss as well too. Like, I don't know, Cowboys, I guess for this season is a tier of team that you're in, but again, if you're that top level team, that's still a game that you probably should be able to close out at the end of the day. So lost to the Chargers, lost to the Eagles, lost to the Jags, lost to the Bills, lost to the Broncos, lost to the Cowboys, lost to the Texans, lost to the Chargers again. So outside, are the Cowboys, what is even their record right now with the tie as well too? Are they in the playoffs? They're 6-1. So I think the NFC is pretty tough this year. I think they're on the outside looking into the wild card race. But still, in the AFC, I guess if they win tonight versus the Vikings, would they be an AFC wildcard team potentially? And with their offense, again, you wouldn't necessarily, like, I think this year it is proper to say that, like, are they playing better than the Chiefs? I think I might, if they played right now, might trust the Cowboys offense to just play better than the Chiefs offense has this year. Again, you have the whole Cowboys defense on the season, but now, like we're saying, bringing in Quinn Williams, like, it's a little feistier on the defensive line. And, like, in some ways, those are all legit losses, like we're saying, maybe outside of the Cowboys, but for the most part, not bad. And those are all kind of, in general as well, too, close games. Like, you have Chargers 21-27. You have Eagles by 3 points, Jaguars by 3 points, the Bills by 7 points, Broncos by 3, Cowboys again by 3, and then the Texans by 10 was, I guess, the one double-digit loss in the season. So it was just them in those losses, not, simplifying it down, not closing out the games. But, time and time again, they've had the drives, they've had the opportunities, and it felt like they had them again as well, too. Even, like we're saying, even in this game, they got that late stop where it's like, okay, it's still a 3-point game. The Chiefs somehow still have life. Because that was something we would see time and time. Not to say that, they never made fourth quarter mistakes back in the day. They would just, and, it was, I guess at this point now, a slow decline in terms of the margin of victory for the team. It's like this explosive offense when they first, when Mahomes first entered the league, and now it's these, really close clutch type wins. But there would be moments where it's like, 13 minutes, 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and the Chiefs aren't getting the third down, and they're going to have to punt. 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter, they're having to punt. Like, are they going to get the ball back and score? And it's like, yeah, they get the defense gets the stop. They get the ball with 2 to 3 minutes left, maybe 90 seconds, and then Mahomes makes the drive. They get the field goal. Somehow the clock, it's like the perfect amount of time for the points that they are down. It's just, in some ways, looking back as well, too, it's like, yes, I guess, they've been flying closer and closer to the sun with some of these performances. And last year was the ultimate version of that, where, again, they won basically every game. So I guess you have a correction here. And is Surtain down in the Packers-Broncos game? Oh, no, chat. You hate to see it. Speaking of star players getting injured, he went, did he get kneed in the head? I think he got a knee to that. Well, he did get a knee to the helmet. So I think that's the injury there. Because he was laying on the ground holding his head, and I didn't know if that was like a, in nereaction to the injury, like, oh, no, there goes the season type ordeal. But no, I think he literally got hit in the head with a knee. So, neither scenario necessarily good. But I guess if he's concussed, he'll be back for the playoffs. Is that the moral of the story in the NFL chat? Hey, yo. I don't know if we're writing the plot of a new... Oh, wait, Will Smith already did that movie. Never mind. I think it's already been out there. But, yeah, that was... that's been the difficult part. And maybe we confirm with Sam as well too next time he's on. Make no mistake, we're definitely gonna bug him to jump on for before the end of the year. Make no mistake, not gonna take a lot of work, but yeah, we're definitely gonna maybe it'll take extra work now. He's like, oh, all of a sudden now the Chiefs are eliminated. I'm the holidays. Things are busy, but I mean, if we were out there and our team signed a 45-year-old quarterback, would we consider being like, maybe the Monday night game would be a good time to go live? I'm not sure, but everybody has, I guess, their NFL issues. It is what it is, but yeah, we could definitely confirm from a Chiefs fan perspective if it has felt like the roster and the organization and the team have been, dramatically moving into this different phase where, I guess we got the Rams on screen right now. You had a couple of seasons there where you legitimately lost some big players and had some, of course, consequential people retire. Aaron Donald left. Cooper Kupp got hurt and felt like maybe, is he able to carry the offense from a receiver spot in the same type of way? And just a lot of the veterans that they had there as well, too. Jalen Ramsey, I'm pretty sure, was an All-Pro the year that they made the Super Bowl, or at least a Pro Bowl, or, still playing at a different level for his career. So you're needing to replace, multiple veteran guys across the team. And they've definitely been, of course, able to replenish that. I mean, it took like 7 defensive linemen, of course, to replace Aaron Donald. But I mean, shockingly, the Rams, ended up getting like, a bunch of them that they needed to get the pressure. So it has worked a little bit. But there is that, like I'm saying, potential for this organization to still go into the offseason, I guess, and have the mini retool. But that's where I guess they're at. They're at a mini retool. I don't think it needs to be a major rehaul. I'm sure people are going to be saying that because I get that Travis Kelce is maybe a little bit older, and, shout out, he's had a great career. I guess the man's at the end of his career. Hey, how many seasons does he have left at this point? So he doesn't need us sitting here saying, like, Kelce needs to get out of football. Like, hey, like, I'm sure that he knows how to manage his career, and even if he is moving into a different role impact-wise, I mean, again, the Chiefs know that. They know now that, like, they probably need to get some extra tight end help at the receiver spot. They've definitely, maybe that is another one where we were talking about the roster, maybe with Kelce kind of, and Kelce's still like, maybe a top half of the league tight end. Like, he's still, again, not washed per se, but respectfully to Travis Kelce, but with Noah Gray, and was Fortson hurt this year? Why was Fortson not in the game? But maybe they don't have like the most stacked tight end group in the league. But again, you would have just thought like a reliable guy that can kind of navigate his zone defense every now and then, or win a route against like the 6th defender on the field. Like, maybe Mahomes can find that guy if he's open, if he needs to, and it just didn't quite have the connections, over the course of the season. It is what it is. It is a little bit of a, and the 2011 finals for LeBron is different because, again, it's in the finals. It's still not a performance that you necessarily want to have on that level, but it's still a great season that they had. Still, obviously, the team was able to achieve that championship success multiple times as well, too, later on. But it's not like, I guess LeBron ever had the season where maybe there was, of course, the season where he first got to LA, and that team was definitely, of course, record-wise not very good, and LeBron missed a bunch of games that year as well, too. And maybe if he had been a little more committed to playing with the young guys, that team could have been feisty. But that team, that team wasn't going to win the finals. I don't know if we have to go back and pull up that roster. I mean, that team, that was the pre-Davis trade team, I guess. So, again, it was some quality guys. Like, I guess, it's not like, obviously, Josh Hart's been a real impact guy. He was on the Pelicans, right? Was he on the Lakers? We have to go back and pull up Josh Hart's. I know he was in the trade. Maybe he didn't go to the Lakers in the trade, but I'm pretty sure Josh Hart was in the trade. I don't know why because maybe he stands out as like the most just who do you want to have on your team type guy. I know, I guess Dyson Daniels was a pick in that trade. Maybe Trey Murphy as well too. And then Lonzo, of course, was in the trade. Brandon Ingram was in the trade, and then I guess Randall was in the trade as well too. And Lonzo's had some injuries. Like, it was a really good trade. A lot of the pieces that went back, like, you have that team now if they stay together. It's been a while now, 7-8 years. It's a good team if they're still playing. Is that team gonna win a title? Even the best version of those guys with LeBron? I guess with LeBron, if we're just making everybody in their prime, then yeah, I guess prime LeBron could probably take a prime Brandon Ingram and prime Lonzo Ball and prime Julius Randle to the finals. Probably actually be a pretty good team for guys that LeBron has played with. Put that team back in '07 with those early Cavs team. Would you rather have Ilgauskas or Julius Randle? I'm not sure. Julius Randle is pretty good, even if there's been some playoff hiccups every now and then. But point being, that was definitely, a little bit of a down season, but I guess understandable in a way. Like, not, oh, should this team win the championship? Maybe, again, should that team have made the playoffs? But I guess Mahomes, if he had the knee injury in, week 8 and then missed the rest of the season, that would be a little bit more comparable than 2 plays before they were eliminated from the playoffs contention. But, however many couple Mahomes interceptions before that. So, Gardner Minshew immediately checks in the game and throws a pick, like we're saying. Mahomes is still, I guess at this point, do we have to do how many guys would we take over Mahomes? I'm still, giving Mahomes over anybody, chat. Now I'm just biased at this point. We used to be biased and it used to be right and we could get away with being biased. Now we're exposed to just being biased. We're still taking Mahomes. I guess if Drake May makes the AFC Championship game, then there's definite cases there. I mean, if we're just running back this season, of course, Stafford, I guess, how is Josh Allen the third name that we bring up? I think just because maybe we already understand that, he's in the mix as well too. But, and, again, maybe because, May is ascending into that tier. The rookie contract is the part that makes it interesting. But it is Jackson Dart versus Mahomes because of the rookie contract, the conversation now. Would you rather have Jackson Dart 4 years, $15 million a year, or Mahomes 10 years, $45 million? I know the 10-year thing is starting to run out a little bit at this point. And I think we'd still probably rather take Mahomes, but it is getting a little bit more questionable. I think the guys that he has been competing with as well too, again, from a peers standpoint, we have seen Lamar have a little bit of a, just from the team success as well too, that team has taken a little bit of a step back this year. So it's not like, Lamar has, immediately like claimed his stake as you'd rather have this guy than Mahomes right now. And kind of the same way that, Josh Allen has actually done that a little bit. But, again, there's been maybe some fourth quarter moments. And I guess for Lamar as well too, we were seeing a play recently of one of the last games where it was the Mark Andrews drop, and it looked like Lamar was trying to throw to a guy in the back of the end zone, and then Mark Andrews just comes like bolting across the screen in the front of the end zone and just knocks the pass down and deflects the own pass away from his own teammate trying to catch it. It's like, oh, hey, yo. Once again, Mark Andrews messing up another play for Lamar, but it's okay. They've got him for another 3 years, so, lock that in. But again, maybe Lamar still, if you told me you'd rather have Lamar over Mahomes in 2025, I can't say you're wrong. I can't say you're wrong about Josh Allen. I can't honestly say that you're wrong about Joe Burrow as well, too. Again, if we're saying, it has to be the way this year played out, then I guess the Burrow injury does make it a little bit more interesting because, what do you get Burrow for a couple of games? So, if you're able to have a really good backup, knowing with the knowledge, I don't know what who the right example is, but if you're able to bring in a really really good backup and still able to get some wins, and then Burrow for his couple of games is still able to get to your playoffs because he's healthy now. So if you have him healthy for the end of the year and then for a playoff run, I don't know, maybe Burrow's actually kind of terrifying this year. They weren't, speaking of Burrow versus Lamar, I guess Lamar did get the win today. We could look into those stats as well too. But yeah, it is a tough pause. A tough what to swallow, chat? A tough season to swallow for the Kansas City Chiefs fans because of, again, I think it is a lot of just them not necessarily playing up to some of the expectations as well. And they could definitely have like a '07, maybe do they bring in like a Randy Moss or, what is that, like, trading for Justin Jefferson, and like here we're gonna ignite the offense. Pat Mahomes is now reignited the fire. He's gonna be amazing again with this awesome receiver that they bring in, or they bring in some amazing defensive end talent. I don't know, would the Bengals give him Hendrickson in a trade? Who knows? But yeah, 16 for 28 today, 189, and then had that interception crucially late in the game. So I guess the run, as we look into the roster, of course, again, maybe it's not, top of the league. The run game has been, a little weak this year. Not even really a little weak. I don't know if we look up how many total run yards they've had this year, but, if they get to 50 rush yards from the running back as a team, it feels like a decent game for them, honestly. So, that has been an area as well, too, that they could probably immediately improve. But, and that's not to say that the running back's not important. We've definitely been pro running back over here. There is, hot take. There is, of course, value just in terms of getting some of these offensive weapons as well, too, because of their running backs at the discounted number and just the way that you can utilize these guys in an offense. But still, you would think that, okay, what's one of the least important things that we would need if we have Pat Mahomes as a quarterback? Probably a run game. But I guess, you still need, of course, we're not saying that you don't need balance from an offensive standpoint, but maybe he would be able to carry a little bit more. So, I don't know if we have to pull up the season stats now and expose him. And I guess the season's not technically over. It might be for Mahomes, I guess, now if they're eliminated from the playoffs. He's got the knee injury, so there's really no reason now to have him keep playing, because you're not really competing for anything. Maybe you sneaky lose a couple of games. Are they going to be a top 10 pick? If they lose out, they'll still be at 6 wins, which would be insane. Mahomes at 6 wins for a season. I guess his record, if he misses every game, if he misses the rest of the games, would be 6-7 for the year. So, a little closer to 500, but still would be a little surprising to look back at. 22 interceptions, 22 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. On the year, 3,398 yards in 13 games as well, too. 47% on the success percentage. And I think Pro Football Reference has like a bad throw percentage here as well, too. Let's see if there is a bad throw number that we can find for Pat Mahomes. I don't know what they classify as a bad throw, or I think they have bad and off target. I guess we'll have to see. Computer number 2 is also, I guess, a little slow loading sometimes. So maybe we'll just look at the career stats. In 23, he was 48.2 success percentage. Otherwise, for his career, he's the highest in NFL history. Oh, the Pro Football Reference just shut down our other computer. It can barely keep up all of a sudden. I don't know why it's struggling so bad. It's not like we've ever not just, randomly looked this up ourselves, but apparently it's got a full chat. It's going to go a full collapse here. I think it's probably just going to end up exiting out. We might have to Control-Alt-Delete. No, it's back. It's been saved. The Pat Mahomes stats are so bad that even the internet doesn't want us to load them. 261.4 yards per game. He's actually very similar to where he was at in 2023. So they were 10-6 that year. He still made the Pro Bowl, and ultimately, I think the playoff success outweighed any regular season struggles that year. The year before, 5,200 yards, 41 touchdowns in 2022 is actually his highest yardage total. Because, in the playoffs in 2023, he had 1,000 yards in 4 games, 6 touchdowns, and 1 interception. So, one of the, great playoff runs that we've seen from a player. Definitely, again, can't take these seasons away from him. Can't take the run away from him. But this is one of the... It's definitely one of just the most interesting career... I'm not going to say peaks and valleys. Because, again, a valley for Mahomes, like, what does this mean? Now he's the 7th best quarterback of all time instead of the 2nd. But again, it's like at one point, not even, I guess literally this year, because the Super Bowl would have been still in February. Like at one point in 2025, he could have been the greatest quarterback of all time if he just goes and wins that Super Bowl. Not if he just goes and wins the Super Bowl, but if they go out there, they're already in the game. And still, I get that maybe there is a way that that's a little overwhelming in the matchup, but I don't know. You go back and play that, they can still win 4 of those games. If you win 4, you're almost at 50%, so it's almost an even matchup at that point. They win 4.7 of the games out of 10. I don't know how that works, but maybe they find a way. I guess this year they've definitely found a way to, win 0.7 of some of the games. I guess they haven't necessarily been like, they've been winning a couple of games, but they've also just been losing a couple of games as well too, and haven't been able to close it out. But the fact that he was that close to being, as high as he was on the legacy list, and now, again, how far are you going to bump him down? You can't take away how, from just what we were watching, how dynamic he was as a player. Like, there is just that on the field element that, he's always going to have those 7-8 years that he put up. But now you can still, I guess of course the Manning case is, reopened. It's like, hey, we have to remember Joe Montana now as well too, as like an all-time great quarterback in this case. And I think there are still, like, he has 3 Super Bowls. Just in general, there's not a lot of guys in NFL history with 3 Super Bowls. So there's not a lot of guys that are going to be above him in those ranks. But I guess those 2 guys are still in the mix. Johnny Unitas is back, chat. Hey, now we can rank Johnny Unitas above Pat Mahomes. Now we have 2 Colts quarterbacks that we can rank above Pat Mahomes still. Andrew Luck, and now we can say that, yes, maybe Andrew Luck didn't have the career, but would we rather have had Andrew Luck than Pat Mahomes now? Could Andrew Luck have been Pat Mahomes on this Chiefs team? I think that is actually an argument that is not that difficult to make. And I don't know if, the football community is necessarily going to disagree with us there. I think everybody agrees. Hey, Andrew Luck was pretty talented. You give him a pretty good team, it's probably going to be pretty good. And, if I get, again, they do have some offensive line struggles as well too, but if he's got the infrastructure that Kansas City has had compared to Indy, and just the amount of success as well too, though I don't know, that's the interesting thing, I guess, with Andrew Luck, is they always, you go back and replay his career. If you give him a good team, does he play for 15 years? But if he has Mahomes' career in 8 years, he's like, well, what do I need to keep playing for? Hey, I've literally accomplished everything I need to accomplish. I can retire early. I can retire early in a different way. So I think Luck gets 8 years either way. I think if he's on Kansas City, he wins 3 Super Bowls, and he's like, oh, this is perfect. I don't even have to play 10 years, and I'm one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Or he's on the Colts, and he carries a team, and they just, destroy his prime. And he's like, well, that didn't really work out as well as I thought. I guess I'll just go be the Stanford GM now. But I think that would have been amazing, chat. Hey, Andrew Luck and Andy Reid paired up. I mean, we wouldn't necessarily take away the Colts run to see that. But if we could start a separate timeline where that happened, a second timeline, and see that would definitely be fun to see. I don't know if that overlaps perfectly, of course, because there was some... I mean, Andrew Luck had that playoff game against Alex Smith. I don't know if Andrew Luck is the reason that they went and got Pat Mahomes because of that playoff game. He might be, honestly. And I don't think Pat Mahomes was on the team when that happened. Though Andrew Luck did also play Pat Mahomes in a playoff game as well too. 53-33 as a career starter. So he went 2-5 in 2015, his 4th year in the league, and then 8-7 his next year, and then 10-6. Hey, 6 years, chat. He didn't even play 8. I was giving him 8. He didn't even play 8. He played 6. So if he played 6 years and won 3 Super Bowls, yeah, he might be done. I think maybe he gets 8-10. I honestly don't know if you can replay Andrew Luck's career and get 15 years out of Andrew Luck. If he's too successful, I think he just ends up walking away early. It is what it is, and I think the baseline to get him a successful team would have been pretty low as well too. Again, the regular seasons for these teams were good, and it's not like these teams were, stacked rosters at the end of the day. But yeah, shout out Mahomes, once almost the greatest quarterback of all time. Like, I don't know if there is a player that has been, is this the second Icarus reference of the pod? Hey, or was I thinking about him earlier just randomly? I don't remember. But is this the most like Icarus a player has ever been, just in terms of getting that close to the greatness of any of these guys? Like LeBron, to bring him back up as well too. Again, it's the second LeBron reference. It won't be the last. He is there, and Mahomes is still in that realm as well too. But it's like LeBron is, the second best player of all time at worst. Like the argument is him or MJ, and I guess, Bill Russell as well too. Like, he's third, I guess, just depending on how you're ranking the players, I guess. But, he is in that mix. So I guess if he doesn't have the 2011 finals, then is he undoubtedly the best player of all time? I guess that's questionable. So maybe we could say that, of course, is comparable. But, like Peyton versus Tom Brady, Peyton's definitely has some, what if moments. And if he changed that, then what does this look like for him in the legacy standpoint? And some of that stuff is directly against Brady as well, too. But he is, I think, a couple more moments than just one from being the all-time greatest quarterback. And that's, no disrespect to Peyton Manning. It's just, unfortunately there was a couple different things that happened in the playoffs over the course of his career. And some of them were out of his control as well, too. It is what it is. You got some unlucky stuff there. Like Vanderjet misses the field goal in 2005, the onside kick in the Super Bowl against the Saints. Like, there's some other plays in that game as well, too, that didn't necessarily work out in the favor of everybody involved. But maybe, like, I just can't think of anybody else that you're like, going into this game, could they have been the greatest all time? It would have to be some Olympian that if they medal in this event, then they could go down as the best ever. And maybe they didn't do it and they could have broke some type of record. And, that's why I'm just not recalling the name at this point. But just get, and he could still get there as well too. Again, speaking of the 2011 finals, like, of course, and I'm sure the parallels will be made. I'm sure they've been made in the past of this year to that moment. And again, it's a little bit different, a moment versus a bit of a season, but you can still definitely recover. Like, he's got playoff success. He's only chasing, really he's only chasing one guy at this, maybe two, if we want to say Montana. With all respect to Peyton, and I guess I'm not going to sit here and say that you wouldn't necessarily just outright take peak Mahomes out versus the best version of Peyton, because that's one of the smartest quarterbacks that's ever played the game, and he's going to dice up any defense. And just Mahomes' athletic ability, of course, is at the at the peak of his powers. It's insanely scary with the vertical element of the offense that was mixed in there as well too. But again, he's really only competing against a couple of names at this point, so he can still build that legacy back up. It's not out of question. He hopefully still has many great years ahead of him. But for it to continue to kind of trend in the way that it has, it is just very interesting to see. And, again, it'll be hopefully just part of the story. It'll be, hey, and then the next couple of years, Mahomes, was amazing again. And, they're showing the fantasy scores from this week. Maybe they trade for Kyle Pitts. You trade for Kyle Pitts and revitalize Mahomes' career. It's like, that's the Randy Moss move. Kyle Pitts is 2007 Randy Moss. Mahomes has a record-setting season, and then he jumpstarts the second half of his career where he's awesome again. We're not writing it off, but it's still a curious season to look at either way. And interesting to see what they do, I guess, in the offseason. I wonder if they go, I guess we'll just have to, like I said, continue to look at the roster and see, is it big game hunting, or is it just trying to do a little bit of an overhaul and see if you can set the roster back up in the right direction. But I still, like I'm saying, a lot of a lot of their guys. So the Chiefs, good luck. Hey, tough year. Hopefully Mahomes is still up there for the great quarterbacks. The ultimate move, I mean, we all know what the ultimate move would be. The NBA version of the move would be, how do we not sell? Is it selling low? Hey, you can't even say it. But you're definitely gonna have offers. You're definitely gonna have takers. And he's it's like a Luka Doncic scenario. You give him motivation, you put him in a better situation, then the ability for him to have that chip on his shoulder, of course, is definitely gonna be there. And I think the Brady Belichick thing definitely taught us, I think, to prioritize the players maybe over the infrastructure in the NFL. I don't know if the NBA, probably the same. You get a Spoelstra, Popovich every now and then. I don't know if you get your exceptions. But, and maybe Belichick at a different time versus Brady at a different time. It becomes a different argument. But I think you have to prioritize the players. So, of course, maybe you prioritize Mahomes over the other pieces. But, I don't even know what the, what the hot take move would be. Mahomes for Daniels? I don't know if this was a great season for, those types of comparisons. Again, just not saying that, oh, are we completely out on Daniels? It's just, is he going to be like, well, I guess we have to trade for him for some of the other guys? I mean, the obvious one is May, of course. Would you trade May for Mahomes? Patriots fans probably saying no after this season. And maybe that's where we figure out our Mahomes ranking at that point, because the Bills fans are probably going to say no, keep Josh Allen. The Ravens fans probably say no, and the Bengals fans probably say no as well too. I know that, again, you get the 3 Super Bowls in the legacy, but all those teams, and maybe there's that competitiveness of he was, taking down all those teams in the past, and it's like, no, we want our guy to take down Mahomes at some point. We got to finish this battle with our guy. But I don't think any of those teams are making the trade. Is Philly making the trade? I don't know if Kansas City is making the trade as well, but Philly might Philly might make the trade. Howie Roseman likes making trades, so Philly might make the trade. And they did pay Jalen Hurts as well too, so getting Mahomes might actually be a discount. But, would Packers fans make the trade? Watching this game, Jordan Love, this is that time of the year where his stats definitely take a step forward. And this Broncos defense is a good test to see. It's like, okay, is Jordan Love just invincible now in late game scenarios? But, going to Denver is always just tough in general as well too. And I don't know, we didn't get a weather report, but it doesn't look like it's crazy cold. It's not obviously snowing or anything like that. It's not like what we got going on over here in the Midwest right now, as we just gotta, just bundle up and stay inside for the last couple of days, because it's been hitting the below temperatures. As long as it doesn't, maybe it did officially dip below, like technically overnight, but during the day, as long as it doesn't, get below 0, then that's okay. But we're not to January yet. Hey, yo. So, we'll see. A little Farmer's Almanac corner there for you for REMINGTOM Pod. But maybe the Broncos fans, I don't know, Broncos fans, would we trade Bo Nix for Mahomes? We might have to ask a couple of Broncos fans and see what the moves would be. Darnold, and again, if we're just talking like, would we take him for this year? Like a couple of weeks ago, it's like, hey, you have the opportunity to get Mahomes. That's different than, hey, Mahomes for the next 4 years versus Darnold for the next 4 years. Is that where we're at? Do we have to look up how old Sam Darnold is and double check? Because he's not too far off the Mahomes draft stuff. I don't think they're the same class, are they? But maybe Mahomes was even the year before. So Darnold might actually be younger than Mahomes. Maybe Darnold is the better value. Honestly, let's hear. Darnold is 28. How old is Mahomes? Is he 30? If Mahomes is 30, chat. Hey, yo. Is that concerning? We used to think that these guys could play till 40, but now Mahomes at 30 is going to start raising question marks here. So we got Darnold at 28. Mahomes, he's got to be the same. No, he is 30 this year. Hey, yo. So would you rather have Darnold? Maybe you get 2 more seasons at the end of the day. Darnold 2 years from now, where is he going to be better than Mahomes at 30? I don't know. Is there an argument there? So maybe Seahawks fans wouldn't make the trade. Giants fans, like we were saying earlier. Titans fans with Cam Ward. It's interesting with the rookie quarterbacks, just the one season, Obviously, if it's insane, then it is what it is. Texans fans probably not making the trade. I think Colts fans, did I already say it earlier? I'm telling you right now, we're making the trade. So maybe we shot our wad too early in the season. Maybe we could have been a Mahomes destination. But hey, yo, and maybe, what are the NFL rules compared to the NBA rules? Is there stipend rules? Can we trade our 29, 30, 31 picks? I don't know how far out in advance we can go. Mahomes and Sauce Gardner for the next 5 years of first-round picks. Is it worth it? I don't know. Is that a championship-level team with those 2 studs? But maybe, Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence. Again, our Cheese fans, like, why are we trading Mahomes for Lawrence? Why are we trading Mahomes at all? Purdy? Like, it's still not, it's still probably only 7 or 8 guys at the end of the day that you're making cases for. And the Darnold one is just, it's just recency bias. And I guess, but maybe, the Seahawks are one of those teams that are definitely roster-wise a little bit better than Kansas City. So I think would be an upgrade if Mahomes was in that situation. And, hey, yo, maybe I'm totally misreading it. And I think I was saying earlier, like it goes both ways, but hey, to reiterate, it goes both ways. And I think, like we're saying, the expectations that Mahomes is held to is that's what I guess, gets under our skin a little bit more, is just watching, him not be the player. It is what it is, him not be the player that he has been over the last couple of years here. But one season, what is a guy not supposed, we're all human, chat. We all, I guess, have our imperfect seasons. So I guess we got to give Mahomes a break. He's an NFL quarterback at the end of the day, and we are not. So, he's got that. So, he's doing okay there. But Packers driving, 5 minutes left in the second half. We got a flag here, 6-7. So it's been a defensive battle. I don't know if that is, necessarily super surprising, but still both these offenses can light it up as well too. So we'll see if the second half is able to have that extra production. Hey yo, we're gonna take a early break. Hey yo, I don't know, the cold weather, the winter is got the, I don't know, do you get allergies in the winter? I think you do. But this might be another Manage the Voice episode. Hey yo, I don't know what's going on. Maybe we have to find some cough drops in the studio. Uber Eat us some cough drops. See if we can get an Uber driver out here in the -5-degree weather. We'll be right back, chat. Hey, yo, don't go anywhere. We still got second half of some of these Week 15 NFL games. And, of course, more exciting games, like we said earlier, as well, too, to get into. And, hey, yo, I forgot. There's some NBA on. I mean, we had some NBA on last night as well, too. We're probably going to end up talking about that more than the NBA on right now. Probably not. I guess we got good NFL on, so we don't necessarily need to switch off any of the games. Hey, yo, I guess IT will confirm it for us in the break, where we want to take a quick production meeting, and then we'll be right back right after this. All right, we are back, and Josh Jacobs just had a Catch of the Year candidate on. Did he moss Dre Greenlaw? Hey, yo. I guess you hate to see it if you're a Broncos fan, but Packers now a chance to add a score to the lead. Stafford, a little iffy on the stats so far, but I think this year the completion percentage maybe is not the main thing to look at for his box score numbers. We've also got the Titans being kind of feisty against the 49ers in this one. Only a 4-point game at the half. The defensive line has got Purdy running around going backwards. I mean, Purdy's been pretty good today. 10 for 13, 135 and a touchdown. Hey, yo, I guess we got to do a Brock Purdy numbers check here real quick and see where we are at. Hey, yo, chat, we might have to move to the phone for research purposes to keep up here. It is what it is. I guess we were going to try to pull up the Lions-Rams game because those teams are battling, so we probably should keep an eye on this. Is Purdy an MVP conversation if he plays the next 4 games? Is it like 9 games that he would play? Here, let's see if we can get this fired up and going here. 3-point game. Stafford, 3rd and 5, dropping back. He's got time. Hutch, Chet. Oh, you can't give Hutch time to get to the quarterback. I know that it sometimes seems the other way, where it's like you can't give the quarterbacks time to throw. Sometimes you can't give the defensive lineman time to rush the passer. If you're playing against Hutch, you've got 1, 2, 3 seconds, and then you've got to probably make a decision. He's probably going to have won some type of battle at that point. It is what it is. But Purdy this year, 66% completion. I guess 9 touchdowns, 7 picks. So he's been airing it out. 1,147 yards in 5 games. 230 yards a game for Purdy. Hey, yo, chat. This computer is less clutch than Mahomes this year. This is crazy. It'll definitely work, like, mostly okay once we get off. Pause. But, whoa, hey, yo. Once we log off the live stream. But as of right now, it is just in a complete freeze. It is what it is. So, to the phone it is. We've already had to abandon the live streaming computer because we keep freezing it up by going to these websites. What are these websites? Just Pro Football Reference. But apparently, sometimes it is too much. So, we'll see if the phone is the move. It is what it is. But here, we were looking for Purdy's numbers for... Now, it's just me sitting on my phone on a live stream. It feels very unprofessional, but I guess not something that is going to be particularly, a new scenario, though. Probably have been on our phone a couple of times. It is what it is. But, hey, yo. But, yeah, Purdy per game, we said 230. So if we go since he's been back from injury, I guess his numbers beforehand, this would be more similar to that. Because he was 309, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, 277, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. And then has been a little low on the yardage since the return. But the offense has been cooking anyways. Wins against Cleveland, Carolina, Arizona in that stretch, going 3-0. And, again, you got Tennessee versus today. So he's definitely had a favorable run in his return. But Carolina's still that feisty playoff team for sure. They were winning the division going into the day because of the Tampa-Atlanta game, and Tampa losing that game to Atlanta. So if we go NFC South update, it is the Bucs at 7-7. So they are just their win percentage because of games played. And you do have the Saints in the Superdome. Ooh, the Panthers make the field goal. So the Panthers take a 3-point lead as that is heading into halftime. So yeah, if they win this game, they are in like the actual first place, I guess, matching of course the game total as well too. And Atlanta at 5-9 is a little bit out of the conversation right now. And of course, New Orleans at 3-10 is not going to be in the mix at all. But for the playoffs, Tampa is 2 games out of the wild card spot. So they're still in front of Dallas, and Carolina record-wise, I guess would be there as well too. And then Minnesota at 5-8, I guess, is the next team. Atlanta at 5-9. But so if Minnesota wins 6-8 versus 6-7-1. So really, if Minnesota wins, they probably just, of course, hurt Dallas more and kind of help that tier become a little more defined, and then it becomes more between Detroit and Tampa for that last playoff spot, because Detroit is out of the playoffs right now. That is crazy. So that makes sense why they're fighting for their lives. I just assumed, you're looking at their record, 8-5 as well. You're like, well, they gotta be in. And I guess in the NFC, it's not enough. You've got the Bears, of course, their own division, at 9-4. San Francisco at 9-4 as well too, because yes, Seattle is 10-3 and the Rams are 10-3. So you've got two wildcard teams from the NFC West right there, and then also the 49ers at 9-4. So those divisions are crazy records this year. I don't know if there is an AFC. I guess the AFC South at this point, because the Colts are 8-5. And the Colts, we haven't said too much, but they are keeping up with the Seahawks right now as well too. They were winning 6-3, and yeah, they still are. And it's been probably the best defensive performance against the Seahawks offense so far this season. I don't know if we go back to the Texans game and double check that, but they've held them to under 40 yards when Scott Hansen gave us that update last time. But, the Colts got offensive linemen going down, chat. Hey, yo, injuries, you hate to see it, especially, again, now we're bringing in quarterbacks that, hey, yo, it's just like, can we manage to get through the last couple of games? So we don't want to be losing the guys for the long-term impact. But, hey, yo, the Colts are just the fullest surprise team this year. It is what it is. We start the season with Daniel Jones. Nobody knows how it's going to go. And we surprise everybody by having the best offense in NFL history. And we sign Phillip Rivers. Nobody knows how it's going to go. And the defense just becomes the best defense in the league. And we slow down this Seattle offense to barely nothing. But, we're watching this one, having to track this one through the red zone right now. So we're not being able to necessarily see play-to-play what is happening. But I wonder if they're just selling out to stop JSN as well, too. Because, outside of him, there isn't a lot of other crazy name players for the skill guys. And he's been awesome in carrying that team. But, of course, if you are able to take him out and Darnold has to distribute, maybe their offense does, of course, take a step back. And maybe it is also just that general, you don't want to say time of year for Darnold, but you have to remember that last year he did have a couple of games at the end of the year. And, of course, one of them ultimately being a playoff game that did affect his status for running it back in that team, and just the other team's confidence in signing him as well too, and probably the overall contract and value that he would have had, that that he would have been chasing in free agency. So is this just that general sort of, hey, yo, are we going to start being concerned about Darnold at the end of the year and those performances? Or is this the Colts having one of those crazy games and maybe showing some game plan stuff as well too? Because Steichen and Lou Anarumo are really, really good coaches and could definitely, unlock some new stuff there. But, hey, yo, and you got to give them the respect for winning, and they are inside the 10. So we'll give Rivers a chance here on 3rd and 4 to make a play. There's no way this is not a run. Oh, they're going to throw it. I mean, they've trusted his arm, and they've got a guy open. Oh, chat. It's Josh Downs underneath for the touchdown. Phillip Rivers we got to say, he's looked okay. The man has not missed a beat. He's had it definitely, you can tell the passes that, it's taken a lot to throw them. They're not being thrown with the same sort of strength and oomph that you would normally expect from an NFL quarterback. But if the guys are open, he is able to be accurate enough to make it work, and they've schemed up enough intermediate and short game opportunities for him to be able to, to have enough options. So this has been really, really interesting. Daniel Jones, of course, was able to help this offense take like a vertical element there as well too. But as the games have gotten a little bit more grinded out type games, like, of course the performances and the success have not been the same over the last month of the year. So this is also that desperation time as well too. Like we said, the Seahawks are 10-3. They're a little bit in cruising mode, even though the NFC is tough. You can't necessarily lay off, you got to keep your foot on the pedal the whole time. But they do definitely have a little bit of leeway to work with overall. Though I guess at 10-3, they could still get the 1 seed. It's not impossible for them to get the 1 seed. So I guess, we can't just necessarily say because they're in the wild card spot right now means that that's what their destiny is. Oh, Bo Nix at the goal line. Did he get it to go? Touchdown. Is that... Oh, Harvey was celebrating. I thought it was RJ Harvey. It was not. Lil Jordan Humphrey. Shout out the Texas alum. There we go. Tying it up with the 6. And then the extra point can give them the lead here. So the Packers will have a possession going into halftime, but great drive by Bo Nix, chat. Matching the great Jordan Love. Hey, yo. 6 plays, 72 yards with 1:56 left in the half. So decent amount of time. But that was definitely the thing I was not most interested in, because I was also interested in Love versus the Broncos defense as well. But Bo Nix, if he's forced to, match and go drive for drive in those scenarios, what is his capability look like? And he is able to at least match him for this one in the first half. Winning his versus Mahomes argument, I guess if we're sticking with the trade machine, would you rather scenarios there. 4th and 1, Amon-Ra, he's able to keep it going. So the Lions up 3, maybe going into half, can take that one a little bit more there as well too. But we were, mentioning the playoff scenarios, I guess. And for Rivers as well too on the Colts, again, maybe the offense needed to move into a little bit more of some of this intermediate short game stuff more consistently than, maybe whatever they were, kind of mixing in before with Jones. So not to say that Rivers is a better fit than, Daniel Jones, pause, but the schemes that maybe they are inclined to run with Rivers could be a little bit more favorable for some of the style of play stuff that they need to have happen for later in the year. So we've got 35 seconds left in the half for this Lions game. And Goff is almost inside the 30. He's taking a shot. It's Jameson Williams, chat. Oh, he's got him for the touchdown. The Lions are starting to look good. They're starting to look good. Again, the 8-5 thing is another one that is a little confusing. They've definitely had their moments where they've dropped their games. Has it been a little, speaking of the coaching, from time to time, some decision making in the 4th down scenarios that have cost them a game. But that is, of course, different than, also them making those turnover heavy plays as well too. Those are definitely things that could happen in the playoffs. You could definitely have coaching scenarios that could be costly. We're not saying that. I think maybe the Lions have had similar 4th down calls as well too that haven't gone in their favor in the playoffs before. But in terms of the level of play that they've been able to get to this season, they've definitely been able to match every team. I guess the Packers games have been the 2 games that have been the concerning ones for them. Do we have to go back and double check those here? Because, they lost 24-31 and then 27-13 in week 1. Otherwise, 3-point loss to Minnesota. I guess they did also lose to Kansas City. That's the one game that Kansas City has looked really good in. was that Detroit game. But again, that's because Kansas City is like a decent team this year as well, too. They just didn't play that well. Lost to the Eagles and, yeah, like we're saying, lost to the Packers twice. So a little bit in that Vikings mold last year of a little concerning when you are losing to the top end teams. Wins against, even though the Bears are a good team though. So week 2 Bears is a different scenario. Are the Lions a fake? I guess this is maybe the first real win for the Lions. Do we say that? Is that the hot take here? Because they would have had Bears in week 2. So still figuring it out. The Ravens aren't good. Browns aren't good. Bengals, all injured. Bucks, okay, I guess. Commanders, everybody's hurt. The Giants, new team, everybody fired, nobody's good. And the Cowboys defense hasn't been good as well too. So, you can just basically cross off all 8 of their wins as meaningless for the 2025 season. Shout out to the Detroit Lions. But you've got the Rams here now, the Steelers in the playoff mix, and then the Bears again in week 18 is definitely going to be a more competitive playoff necessary type game. So, and they did, look really, really good against the Cowboys as well too, in a pretty dominant win there. So this is maybe that motivation of after losing to the Packers a couple times, like, hey, we really have to step up and, get some wins against these top level teams. But they are definitely turning the resume around now as well too, because the Rams and the Seahawks do have their games against each other to, measure themselves against the Rams won 21-19 in the first matchup, which is of course why they would have the tiebreaker with them both having the same record at this point in the year. But they will also play again as well too on actually, is that next week? Week 16. Thursday. Hey, they play Thursday night. So we've got an NFC 1 seed showdown potentially, especially if they both lose and still have the same record after this week. Maybe is this the classic look ahead scenario? Both these teams looking ahead to Thursday night, underestimating the Colts. I don't know if you have the Rams necessarily underestimating the Lions, but maybe they're thinking more about that game. And then the Rams themselves have the Falcons and the Cardinals in the next 2. So they could definitely, have the 13-4 season here and win these next 3 if they were, able to get past the Seattle game after this. But otherwise, you're still finishing with 11-6 on the year. It's not bad. A little slide though with some losses at the end of the year. And they would have, after the Rams, the Panthers and the 49ers. So the Seahawks are definitely going to be a little bit more desperate to get that win. I would say both those teams are in the playoffs. And I guess, both NFC opponents both ways as well too. So the Seahawks definitely have the more difficult path after this Rams game. But so the Seahawks definitely need the Colts win more than the Rams need this Lions win. Maybe we're looking ahead a little too much at this point. But 18 seconds left. The Rams can get a field goal here and take it to 7 points deficit. And Puka, they can get a touchdown maybe and take it to 3. Still only 11 seconds. So they're going to have to take maybe only 1 or 2 shots at the end zone, but definitely gets them across, the 50 into field goal range. Easy enough. Boom. Basically inside the red zone. Is that to the 20? Oh, man. The safety help not there in time, and Stafford is able to pick apart the defense. Oh, Chet! He was trying to get it into the tight end. 11 seconds left. He almost got the touchdown. Oh, man. I mean, this is the MVP case type stuff for him this year. I don't know if Drake May actually has to win the MVP if Stafford doesn't win this game again. We still have a couple of games here, and a Seahawks game Thursday night would definitely be, like we're saying, a big determining factor in that as well, too. If they're also the NFC 1 seed, he does have similar arguments that May would have. But if May has clearly a better record this year than any of these guys, then it does become a little bit of a Matt Ryan Atlanta situation as well too, where it's like, well, that's a really great season, and that was one of the better teams in the league, so you kind of just give him, not to be disrespectful to the Drake May potential MVP, but, and maybe that would age a little bit better than the Matt Ryan MVP as well too. Maybe Drake May becomes more of a, do I say an MVP type? That might be crazy against Matt Ryan anyways, but the win here would definitely be helpful for that as well too, because they're 11-2, I guess. Well, 11-3 now because they would have lost today against Buffalo. But I don't know. I'm not giving them the win, but it was an important game anyways. I think in terms of how I think about that team continuing them, that competitiveness for the playoffs as well too. Again, their regular season record is obviously trending to be good at this point, and they, outside of Buffalo, have a pretty decent schedule in terms of their matchups for having that good record. But once they get to the playoffs, what is that trust factor for them? And a matchup against the Bills like this, I think, was important in helping solidify that. But we will get into the other ones here. Hey, yo, chat. We'll just take a quick break. I don't know why we're having like a reaction to something, but hey, yo, it's not even that bad. It's just, I guess if it's not that bad, then we don't need to fix it. Hey, yo, so we're okay. We can. These guys are out here playing through injuries and I guess playing through concussions and all this stuff. If IT needs to pull up a blue tent, then hey, is that a pause? That might be a pause. Then we will, I guess, figure that out a little bit later. But the Colts at half, 13-6 as well too. So tough half for the NFC West in terms of getting the wins. But let's go through the other games here and see what we have. So we got 13-6, 16-14, 17-10, 7-10, Panthers Saints, 24-7, Lions versus Rams. So yeah, Bills Patriots was, probably, I guess game of the day headlines is still going to be the Chiefs because, ayo, dynasty over. But in terms of playoff impacting this season, this is the AFC game right here. I guess we've got like an AFC game, we've got an NFC game, and we've got a Super Bowl. So, this can't be it can't be all three because both the teams in the Super Bowl would have to be in the championship games. But somehow we've got an AFC championship preview, an NFC championship preview, and a Super Bowl preview all happening in one weekend. I don't know how that's possible. But the Patriots Bills could be an AFC championship preview. Drake May 14, 23, 155, and an interception. Big, Travion Henderson game as well too. But for them to be able to bring the best out of the Bills in this type of way as well too, where, again, are the Bills the best roster in the league? Is it a lot of, Josh Allen? If James Cook is, having a really great game, and he was really good today, 22 carries, 107 yards, and 2 touchdowns. You do have a couple of guys that you can go toe-to-toe with the other guys with. And Milano as well, too, having another crazy day, 2 sacks, 10 tackles overall. So, you have the all-pro level player there on defense when he is fully healthy and cooking as well. But the Patriots have, brought the best out of them in 2 games that they have played with them this year and have been every bit as, nearly the better team, honestly, as the Bills have been. And Drake May, again, was he as awesome in making the game-ending plays as he was in the first one in the Sunday night game, whatever week that was? Maybe not. But still, like we're saying, to just, and a little bit like the Spurs with the Thunder in last night's game. The Spurs were in, the Thunder are champions. No disrespect to the Bills, but, the Bills aren't champions yet. But the Thunder, even if the Thunder had been able to close that one out, and not necessarily like, dramatically winning in the last couple of minutes there, but, if they had classic Shea just kind of pulled away at the end of that game, you're still walking away from that game thinking, oh man, Wemby on the minutes restriction and the rest of that roster, like the way that they were able to compete and make the Thunder play the best version of basketball they could play. Like Caruso just going absolutely crazy in that game. Like that's this high level of the Thunder's basketball that we've seen them play, nearly as well too. That's a little bit what you get in this game. And again, Josh Allen's awesome. You got ability to close out some of these fourth quarters. Maybe he is closing in on another MVP as well too. We can't leave his name, of course, out of the conversation if he is able to get back in it in a wins mix, because I guess now they are only one win behind the Patriots there. So I know the Patriots continue to have the easy schedule. I guess they have the Ravens next week. Is that true? I don't know why it's... Oh, because it's got the other game at the top, the most current game. I don't know why it does that, but it's got, Ravens, Jets, Dolphins after this. So Ravens Sunday night against Lamar, going to be a test. Good Drake May test as well, too. Josh Allen and Lamar in back-to-back weeks. Hey, yo. So, again, Josh Allen, I guess, got him in this one, but he had Josh Allen in the other one. So they're definitely tied for the season. Then you have a chance to compete against Lamar, and then probably a couple wins, though the Dolphins, of course, have been a much better team. And even the Jets as well, too. Could they have a surprise home win against a divisional team like the Patriots? Maybe. But we would still probably pick them in both of those games versus the Bills. Now looking at Browns, Eagles, Jets. So both kind of with one, maybe difficult game in there. Eagles probably a little bit more than maybe difficult, but both probably looking at, potentially 2-1 over the last game. So if Allen with a win here and then a win against the Eagles, honestly, Allen might be the one, unless Stafford has a crazy second half here as well and is able to close this out. I guess maybe Goff could also be in the mix. I don't know if we pull up the odds here, but yeah, that Eagles-Bills game could be an MVP game for Allen, honestly. If he is able to win that game, he might secure himself another award. Because, 155 is a little tough. And if Drake May had the passing or the rushing, I guess he did have 2 rushing touchdowns as well, too. I was going to say, no passing touchdowns, but I thought he was scoring somewhere. He was getting his fantasy points somehow. So, still able, Josh Allen, to get into the end zone. So I think that this was, for me, kind of keeping an eye on this game on the red zone, looking at the score. It's like, man, it really seems like the Patriots are actually this legit team. And this is that divisional rival aspect as well, too. But looking at the rest of the AFC, I don't know who else, maybe besides Houston at this point. And I guess, we're watching Denver right now. We got to give Denver their fair respect. But Bo Nix versus Drake May is a very, very scary matchup. That's for sure. Maybe Stroud versus Drake May. You have a little bit more confidence in your quarterback there in some late game scenarios. But, otherwise, it is, the confidence ranking is definitely continuing to, be more and more in favor for who the Patriots quarterback is at this point. I mean, maybe we have to just keep giving Trevor Lawrence his respect as well, too, as the Jags move to 10-4 today and hit the double-digit mark. But, I guess before these games go back into the second half, we'll take a quick break, a quick reset here, and, we'll have second half action for the late window. Week 15, more reactions for the other window right up next. All right, we are back and ready to go for these second halves, and they were trying to give us a little bit of an update on the Mahomes injury as well too. Nothing specific in terms of what it could be outside of just, knee MRI tomorrow. Didn't look good, but I guess we didn't even really mention what this could mean for next season as well too, if it is, potentially a 12-month year-long injury type. And again, in that GOAT case, what could that even mean, just having, we're not saying like this season wiped away per se, but this is not a season that's going to be in the GOAT case. So if you have 2 seasons that are just kind of out of the mix there, that does become interesting. And, if you're competing against a 20-year quarterback, you kind of need every season that you can have. So not just, to immediately dump water on the fire after, again, how it looked 11 months ago at this point. But hey, if you had told us going into the year that Phillip Rivers would be making the playoffs and Pat Mahomes would be eliminated before Christmas, then I would have been like, oh, buddy, Phillip Rivers, he's not even in the league. It's okay. Not everybody follows the NFL as closely as we do. And then it's like, wait a second, what's happening? Phillip Rivers is back. He's playing okay in this first half. And they're maybe going to go in and upset Seattle. I mean, it was all right there. It was all right there. Phillip Rivers, first week, everybody's like, what is this? We don't even know what's gonna happen with this offense. Seattle has a 2-touchdown favorite, which I think it makes total sense. Again, if you're saying 45-year-old quarterback that hasn't played in 1,800 days versus Sam Darnold, who's been a near MVP candidate all year. But if you took the quarterbacks off the field, the teams aren't necessarily 2-touchdown different teams. Like, Seattle's probably still a better team, but it is probably more, if Daniel Jones was in the game, it is probably like a 3-2, probably not 2.5, but probably a 3.5 point game. Maybe with the way they've played the last month, it goes to 4.5, and Seattle's looked pretty good, at home. I don't know if it climbs up to 4.5, but with Phillip Rivers, is he at this point worth minus, or I guess +9 in the betting odds? Is he worth +9.5 points potentially? 9 to 10 points on the line. Maybe that is a little dramatic. So, we'll see if they win here, but could they potentially cover a 2-touchdown spread with Phillip Rivers? I guess the signs were there, chat. The signs were there for us to believe in our team, and once again, we did not, and it is what it is. They proved us wrong going into the season with Daniel Jones, and they are proving us wrong in this game with Phillip Rivers. But, what ultimately, and we're not going to, I guess, rely on that to have us win the argument. We're not trying to sit here and, cheer against our team. I guess we want our team to do good, but we want our team to win Super Bowls. And, I don't know what the Phillip Rivers upside is for that 5 years after it was, where it was 5 years ago. But it's just incredible that somehow still after 5 years, this is just the best quarterback situation that we can still find ourselves in, is with Phillip Rivers at the end of the day. Surtain back out on the field second half. The injury hopefully not affecting him too much anymore at this point. And the Green Bay offense is going to get the start. So they were able to get the field goal at the end of the half, the 2-point lead, 16-14. So this is a drive that could help create some separation as well too. But field goal, 5-point game, it's only a touchdown score if they are able to hold them to that, or of course force a punt as well too. It is third down, so here's the opportunity. But could definitely start to put a little bit of pressure on Bo Nix. I was going to say, but, it's been a little bit since I guess maybe they've been the full fourth quarter chaos team, but the way that they were earlier in the season, of course, that's all it was fourth quarter chaos. And Bo Nix having to have these just incredible outbursts of incredible plays. And they do get the pass defense down the sideline. Oh, is Riley Moss going to get pass interference? It did look like he kind of got his head around on that one. Pause. Yeah, he's looking around. Oh, yeah, they got him, chat. They got him. The ref crew is not messing around today. Hey, yo. I don't know if we go back and see the replay. I don't know what else a cornerback has to do. Jab him once. Locates the football. Definitely some hand fighting, but yeah, chat. I mean, I guess he's got that arm pinned back a little bit. You do have to say that. But I don't know if it is anything more than hand fighting as well, too. So I think that's a pretty close call. If you slow it down, I think you can make a case. But in real time, you might just have to let that one slide, honestly. It is what it is. I don't know if we would say it, other way around, what scenarios would be. But in this case, I think it's a tough call. And, immediately on the next play, Josh Jacobs slithers through the offensive line. A touchdown, chat. A game-changing call. Hey, yo. Now the refs, chat. I guess what is the new version of a gambling test? Or, that is the new drug test. But what is that? Obviously, if you want to drug test a guy, we know how that works. We know what the procedures are. But if you want to gamble test a guy, if we want to gamble test these refs and see why they're making that pass interference call down the sideline, hey, yo, that is some sketchy stuff, some sketchy timing. But either way now, the touchdown is going to make it a 2-score game with the extra point. Yeah, I guess if they go 8 points here, we're at a 9-point game. So it is 2 scores now for Green Bay. Maybe, like we're saying, this is where we want Bo Nix. Maybe if this was the fourth quarter, this would be perfect. But since it's 13:59 in the third, maybe we are, starting to look at the Packers. Maybe it's a spiral. I don't know. Only the first drive of the second half, though. So we will give the Broncos definitely a chance to respond. And the Rams as well, too, down 1 score. Also looking to respond on this drive as we monitor the rest of these games as well, too. So we got Ravens versus Bengals. Speaking of Joe Burrow's return, unfortunately not able to have the encore to the great performance like they were against, the Bills. And unfortunately, a couple more picks again for Burrow today. I don't know, his last couple of quarters here, 4 interceptions over the last 5 quarters of football for Joe Burrow. Not the most ideal scenario in the league, though Jamar Chase himself, 10 for 132. Of course, always torching the Ravens. But Lamar today, 8 for 12, 150. Lamar with 12 passes. Hey, yo. Derrick Henry, 11 rushes, 24 for 189 as a team. 11 for Henry, 8 for 66 for Keaton Mitchell. Keaton Mitchell, the forgotten weapon for the Baltimore Ravens. There was once a time where, if you check the advanced stats, Keaton Mitchell, there was some advanced numbers that said he was a better running back than Derrick Henry. I think Pro Football Focus had him graded out as a better running back than Derrick Henry right here. Maybe some special team stuff worked in there. I don't know. But I guess today, Derrick Henry per yards, per carry as well, too, was higher than Keaton Mitchell. But still pretty elite with 8 yards a carry. Derrick Henry at 9, and then Lamar only 2 for 26. But I guess that's not a bad average. So Bengals offense dominating the football and not able to score a point is pretty tough for this offense. Can we get a team stats comparison here? I've got the play-by-play box score pulled up. But first downs, 18 first downs for the Bengals, 15 for the Ravens, 71 total plays for the Bengals, 298 yards. The Ravens had 40 plays for 317 yards. Hey, yo. 8 yards a play to 4 yards a play. Doubled them up on offensive production. And the Bengals were not able to get into the end zone one time. Rams field goal. They get it to go. 20-24. Still a touchdown game here. And the Lions a chance to respond. So, yeah, time of possession 40 minutes to 20 minutes for the Bengals. This has got to be a historic game. There has been definite games where teams have been, out times of possession, dominated the time of possession, dominated the plays, scored a lot of points and still lost. But never this dominant offensively in terms of the box score and had 0 points. I've never seen it with 0 points. Let me see if I can log into the stat head here and look it up. Oh, AO. I was going to look it up on the computer, but we've agreed that that is not the move. It's going to take probably a little too long. So let's see, pause, if we can go to a third resource here for the stat head and check this out. And then maybe we'll also look up how historic Kyle Pitts' game was on Thursday night. We haven't even mentioned that yet. It would be teams with, what do we go, 70 plays? Teams with, how many total yards do they have? I guess not quite 300, 298 yards. But teams with 70 plays and 0 points, that might be, I guess if you're going to score 0 points, you still might run some plays over the course of the game. But to run a full game's worth of plays, yo, chat, I'm still trying to log in here, is pretty bad. Let's see if we can get this password. Hey, yo, can we say banged out? Pause. Just trying to simple type it in. Okay, boom. We are live. And we will get back to the follow along method as well, too. Like we've said in the past, as soon as we are able to upgrade the setup. As soon as it's not, like we're saying, single digits, -2 outside, then we will be fine. We were holding off this weekend on, typically Sunday, meal prep Sunday. Hey, yo, we've been locked in. A little grocery shopping, a little meal prep, get everything set to go for the week. But tomorrow is going to have to be that day because, we were it's going to be 40 degrees warmer tomorrow, apparently. It's bad when we're checking the weather apps. When we have to check the weather apps, it's how cold is it going to be? Okay, tomorrow it's going to be a normal cold temperature. We just go grocery shopping then. Hey, yo. So, I mean, there's definitely some cold places where you don't go grocery shopping, and we're not complaining about that, but just scheduling it out, trying to maximize it for us. But why were we complaining about grocery shopping? I don't know, Chad. It is what it is. But either way, logging into the stat head. Let's see what we can get here. Team games. We want 70 plays, 280 yards, 40 minutes and 0 points. What's the most a team has ever had the football in a game and not scored? Because this was about as dramatic as you can get. Anyways, in terms of that, but again, the Ravens were just having an explosive day on offense as well too. And now, Chad, I've got to be used to looking through the mobile versions while we're live as well too. Typically just scrolling through the desktop. Hey, yo, it is what it is. Like Kyrie, the great thing about a great offensive player like that is you just got to be able to dial it in, right? You got to be able to dial it in and adjust for whatever the situation calls for. They've got Vegas options in here for filtering. We can filter out by point spread line, over under result. Oh, that is kind of clutch, honestly. I don't even know how I'll work that in going forward, but we definitely may find a use for it. So for over 40 minutes, but points for less than 0. I don't even know if that's an option, but just to lock it in. Less than 0, more than 40 minutes. It's never happened before. Wait, let's double check. What was their time? Oh, their time possession was 39-19. Okay, we've got to give them credit. Let's see here. Can we go 35 minutes? 35 minutes time of possession, 0 points scored. Maybe it's the less than 0. Maybe it's throwing it off and we got to sort it a different way. Oh no, we've got 2 games here. 2 games here going back to 1986. December 8th, 1986, Seattle versus the Raiders. The Raiders lost 37-0 versus Seattle. 35-minute time of possession. 0 points in this game. So they were 8-6 at this time. Both teams were actually 8-6 at the time. And Jim Plunkett, the Raiders quarterback, went 4 for 11 for 61 yards. Seahawks quarterback Dave Craig, 243 and 2 touchdowns. Steve Largent in this game, 5 for 76 and a touchdown. Classic Steve Largent performance. Shout out. But yeah, I mean, again, you have basically 0 stats for the Raiders. So was it run game that was keeping the time of possession alive? Honestly, you know, this one is even more confusing. They had 3 quarterbacks playing this game. Plunkett 4 for 11 for 61. Mark Wilson 5 for 10 for 55. And Rusty Hagler 4 for 8 for 50 yards. Shout out to Rusty Hagler. Oh, Rusty Hagler. Colts quarterback, 1991. 0 for 1. 0 yards through 1 pass in his Colts career. Otherwise, a career 5-9 as a starter. Not bad. 2-3 for the Raiders in 87 and 3-6 for Detroit in 88 with 7 touchdowns and 12 picks that year and 1,558 yards in total. 41.2% completion percentage is pretty low for 9 games started, honestly. I don't know if we have to stat head that. But that is the first game. A team has had the ball for 35 minutes or more and not scored a single point in the game. And then there was one more game listed here. 2014, the Raiders again. Oakland Raiders. I was going to say Seattle. Versus St. Louis. Versus the St. Louis Rams. 2014, the Raiders lost 52-0. Is that right? Wait, let me see. I don't know why this game didn't pull up correctly the first time. Yeah, the Raiders lost 52-0 against the Rams. November 30th, 2014. Derek Carr, 173 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 picks. Sean Hill, 2014 Rams, 183, 2 touchdowns. Trey Mason, the running back, 14 carries, 117, 2 touchdowns. And then 3 receptions for 47 yards and a touchdown. So a crazy fantasy day for Trey Mason. And then Stedman Bailey, Oprah's husband, receiver for the Rams, 5 receptions for 100 yards. Is that right? Shout out to Stedman Bailey. Hey, yo. I guess we'll be picking up the book that he wrote that we've heard about as well, too. I didn't realize that there was going to be some Rams receiver chapters in there about his time there. Maurice Jones-Drew was also on this Raiders team. And Darren McFadden. Whoa. This is like a Clippers team right here. You got washed up Maurice Jones-Drew and Darren McFadden on the same team is pretty stacked. And Vincent Brown as well, too. No, who are we thinking of? Vincent Jackson? Shout out the great Vincent Jackson. One of the great, if you watched him, players. 3 Pro Bowls in his career. And, RIP as well, too. Passed away a couple of years ago in 2012. 1,300 yards, 8 touchdowns. Was a beast. Was he like 6'5"? Or something like that? Yeah, 6'5", 230. He was a matchup problem, chat. Vincent Jackson was a problem. I tell you what. You couldn't guard Vincent Jackson, that's for sure. But, yeah. The Bengals with a historically disastrous offensive game. Not getting any points in this one. 0 points. I guess since we're at the stat head, let's see what we said. I was serious when I said earlier that I was going to look up Kyle Pitts stats. Because if you check the tapes, if you've been here before, you know that this is a pro Kyle Pitts show. And maybe we stay quiet sometimes. It is what it is. I'm not saying we're always the best at it. But if he does have good games, we're definitely going to celebrate him. So, tight end performance, and I think this has to be one of the best tight end games of all time. Of all time. 160 yards and 3 touchdowns. If we just filter it by that, I mean, we're definitely making a case. Because 160 yards is a lot for a tight end. I know Kittle's had some crazy yardage games, but, a crazy yardage game for, even a guy like Travis Kelce could be like 130, 140 as well, too. Not to minimize it. It's still all amazing. I'm just saying that I think there was an extra level of production for Pitts in that performance. If we have receiving stats as an option here, let me see. They have a rushing section, a punting section, opponents, combined rushing, combined total, advanced passing, advanced pass type, advanced receiving, yards after the catch. What about basic receiving? Hey, yo, how do we not have receiving stats on the stat head to search this out? I can't just search like players with more than 160 receiving yards. That seems kind of crazy, chat. I don't know if I'm looking at this wrong. Single games. I mean, this is, me just trying to figure this out now. It's probably not that fun. But single games, the stat criteria, and they've got no receiving section. I'm pretty sure. Totals, offensive plays, it's not like hidden anywhere. It's not hidden in the rushing. It's just basic rushing stats. The offensive totals. Okay, yards per scrimmage. We could definitely go there. I guess if we go... Here we go. Offensive plays run. Where's it is? Yards allowed per play. No. Wait, where's even just yards per scrimmage? Combined? Okay, we might have to go combined rushing and passing here. I think that was an option. So if we go RPO, maybe he was throwing a lot of the RPO. Advanced passing, combined rushing attempts. Oh, it's literally not combined receiving at all. What is this? This is crazy. There's 0 receiving options to sort this by. Okay, so I guess we're not going to go to the stat head and look to see how good Kyle Pitts' performances was. It's going to be buried in time, but I guess we can just go to Travis Kelce's page and see, just immediately compare those. Tony Gonzalez, we'll just do a little cruise through tight end history and see if anybody has matched a game similarly. And maybe somebody has had like 180 and 1 touchdown. We'd have to get like a fantasy point way to measure it as well too, and see if it was like most fantasy points for a tight end in a game. But for Shannon Sharp, in his career, he would have had... Did Kyle Pitts outperform Shannon Sharp? Shannon Sharp had a 214 and 2 touchdowns. That was in 2002. Also, that was even this century as well, too. And then he had a 180 and 0 touchdown game. He had 3 touchdown games with 153, 101, and 165. So, yeah, Shannon Sharp, 214, 2 touchdowns, 12 receptions, definitely better for sure. And then 153 and 3 touchdowns is, 13 yards off, 13 receptions. So he's right there in Kyle Pitts territory, chat. Hey, yo, Shannon Sharp, of course, one of the all-time greats. So he did have, 2 games of, how many games did he have of 160 plus? Hey, who scored? Cortland Sutton? Is he in the end zone? Torch in the corner on the route to the pylon there, chat. Hey, yo, shout out, getting to the back of the end zone a little bit. But he has had, I guess, 5 games of 160 or more. So Kyle Pitts has to have 4 more to match Shannon Sharp there. If we go Rob Gronkowski, there was a Glenn Gronkowski that popped up as an option. I've never even heard of Glenn Gronkowski. Hey, yo, shout out. He had, for his highest yardage total, 168. Hey, yo, 168. He had a 149 and 3 touchdowns. That would have been his most similar game. Maybe the 160 and 2 for Gronkowski compared to Kyle Pitts. But yes, I guess Kyle Pitts is now a better all-time receiver than Gronkowski. He's had a better game than Gronkowski. If we go Travis Kelce, Shannon Sharp is still winning. I'm not surprised there. Kelsey's highest yardage total, 191 in 2 touchdowns, and then a 168 in 2 touchdowns. For 3 touchdowns, he had a 25. He had that 7 for 25 and 4 touchdown game. I forgot about that in that 1-point game to the Raiders. That was the beginning of the end right there, honestly. 115 and 3, and then 191 and 2. So definitely between 191 and 2, 168 and 2, better performances. Travis Kelce still a better all-time tight end than Kyle Pitts. I just went for Anthony Gonzalez. I think Anthony Gonzalez is a different player than Tony Gonzalez. Anthony Gonzalez played for the Colts and was a very reliable receiver when, unfortunately, he wasn't getting concussed. But Tony Gonzalez is the all-time great tight end. Let's see what we've got here for Tony Gonzalez. He was at 149 and 2 touchdowns and 140 and 3. So he never had 160 yards in a game and only had 1 game of more than 3 touchdowns, and that's in all those years. So Kyle Pitts has already accomplished that before, 21, 22 years old. So Kyle Pitts might be a better all-time tight end than Anthony Gonzalez. So it's Shannon Sharp, Gronk, Kelsey, and then Kyle Pitts is 4. He's on the Mount Rushmore tight end. I guess Mike Ditka. We got to go back and look up our guy, the legend, Mike Ditka. Hey, yo. Shout out. The Doctor, or Iron Mike. Oh, he's also got the Iron Mike nickname on here. I don't know. I mean, Iron Mike for Mike Tyson's pretty iconic. I mean, Mike Ditka's pretty iconic as well, too. The fact that he could compete is crazy. I mean, I don't know. If we throw him in the ring, he might be able to compete as well, too. Oh, Chad! You think that we were laughing just talking about an old tight end. How is he going to compete with these young whippersnappers? Well, against Green Bay in 1961, he had 190 yards and 3 touchdowns. So Mike Ditka is still a better all-time tight end than Kyle Pitts. Just in terms of the best version. The best version of Kyle Pitts now, 166 and 3 touchdowns. He's a menace. So the best version of Kyle Pitts is better than the best version of Anthony Gonzalez. I hate to do this to our own guy, but maybe I think bringing his name up as a legacy tight end will be good for him as well, too. Dallas Clark. Remember Dallas Clark? Of course you guys remember Dallas Clark, but just to say it like we're an old head, you guys remember Dallas Clark? Shout out. Sioux Falls native Dallas Clark. 1-time Pro Bowler? Dallas Clark? Seems ridiculous. 1,000-yard season for Dallas Clark. So Kyle Pitts might already be above. Dallas Clark, over under 6,000 receiving yards for Dallas Clark's career, chat. Hey, yo. 5,600 yards, 53 touchdowns. So, reliable 500 catches as well, too. Oh, and speaking of touchdown, the 49ers score again. They're pulling away, chat. They are pulling away. It's 31-10. It's looking bad. Purdy's starting to heat up. The 49ers playoff sleeper, chat. Playoff sleeper. It's funny to call them that after a win against the Titans, the 3-win Tennessee Titans, but the dominant wins against the bad teams are important as well, too. So they continue to claim stake for, we're going to have 3 NFC teams now with 10 wins getting there basically before everybody else. It's the Patriots, the Bills, and the NFC. Did I say the NFC East? The NFC West is going to have all these 3 teams now at 10 wins because, of course, Seahawks, Rams already there. Niners are going to get there with the win today. So, can we just bet the Super Bowl to be that? Can we bet the Super Bowl to be an NFC West team? Hey, yo, chat. We've got to pivot this real quick. Okay, let's go to the FanDuel. This would be a good one to have the follow along with. But let me see if I can cook this up off screen here real quick and see what we have. I'm sure we could do some kind. If we bet all 3 of them, of course, then we're going to hedge our bet that way. So I don't know what the sort of odds at the end of the day of betting those 3 would be, the unofficial odds of not that necessarily, because you can't parlay, of course, the 3 of them to get to the Super Bowl or whatever, or the 3 of them to win the conference. But if we individually bet all 3, then if one hits, we'll see here where we're at. If we have live updating odds, and now the phone has been overpowered and doesn't want to load. It is what it is. Somehow we wrecked the phone. Nope. The Rams plus 210 The Seahawks plus 440. The Niners right now at 11-1 might be the best bet. I know they're still not the healthiest version of the team, even, they could be for this year. A guy like Fred Warner is just out for the year in general. Lions are also 11-1 as well, but that could honestly be the best bet in any conference. Can we still bet Kansas City to win the conference? We can't, chat. Hey, yo, it's official. We can still bet the Colts. You can still bet Phillip Rivers, but you can't bet on Pat Mahomes. It is what it is. But you've got the Chargers as the 7th option in the AFC at 920. So the 49ers are the 5th option. And did I say that right? The Chargers in the AFC are the 7th option at plus 920. The Niners in the NFC are the 5th option at 11-1. So I know, again, the NFC is tougher, but they are record-wise right there with all these teams. Philly is 6-10, and San Francisco is 11-20. Seattle 430, San Francisco 11-20. So interesting. You've got Houston plus 590 in the AFC versus San Francisco 11-20. And the Jacksonville is plus 680. They're saying it's twice as likely that Jacksonville wins the AFC as the 49ers win the NFC. I mean, maybe they're really just not on the level of, again, the Seahawks and the Rams. I would get it, those two teams themselves. But just in terms of what we were saying earlier, the overall bet, you get those two teams in it. I think you'd have to say that that's the most likely outcome for the season, at least for a divisional standpoint, that the Super Bowl champion is going to be from the NFC West. I get if you get the AFC East, you do get the Patriots and the Bills, which are two pretty good options. Like we're saying, AFC preview, either of those teams could be the representative. Broncos, Chargers, I guess, is your AFC West options, though really just the Broncos. AFC South, the Colts, Jags, and Texans are all alive at this point. You go Jags, Texans, maybe the Texans to make the Super Bowl. I don't think Texans to win the Super Bowl would be a little rich at this point. But the Jags as well, too, would definitely be a little bit of a desperation team. And the AFC North, Steelers, Browns, Bengals, Ravens, you're probably not going to get a Super Bowl champion out of there if the Steelers are the number one bet. NFC East, maybe a little down on that odds as well, too. So I guess the NFC North is the other option, where you do have Packers, Bears, and Lions as 3 potential playoff teams. But I don't know if we necessarily see the Bears as a Super Bowl team. Fun regular season story, but, is Caleb Williams going to take that team to an NFC championship game win? Would, again, seem like a tough ask, even with the overachieving that they have done. So the Packers and the Lions are a good bet for sure, but I think the NFC West has to win the day at this point, as again, just the number one division in football, but the division I think most likely to win the Super Bowl at this point is a fair, maybe it's saying the same thing twice, but I think it's a fair way to phrase the success that those teams have been having. But yeah, looking at the odds now, we're really filtering it down. We really know who the playoff teams are. The Dolphins somehow are still alive. The Chiefs are eliminated from the playoffs. The Dolphins are somehow still alive. Can they win the division? Or is there tie-breaking scenarios there that would get them in the playoffs as like the last wild card? That's incredible. That's incredible. Tua versus Pat Mahomes. Tua has survived longer in the playoffs. The NFC is a little bit more normal. Again, you got Caleb Williams as a new name. And I guess Bryce Young and the Panthers as well, too. And the Cowboys are hanging around still in the mix. You can't bet Minnesota as an NFC winner, even though I don't know if they have been officially eliminated yet at this point. But the performance that the San Francisco is having right now, of course, is definitely going to have Niners fans feeling confident going into the next week. But the next game to mention here from the early slate, let's see, we've still got third quarter, no score, I guess a field goal for the Seahawks in the Colts-Seahawks game, so 9-13, and they are in near scoring range here. They could potentially, I guess if they get a first down, we're going to go into the fourth quarter. So they're not going to score in the third quarter unless they get a touchdown on this play, which, oh no, JSN is going to break free. He might. He's going to get to the sideline and get him in the red zone. So if they score in the next 30 seconds, then they could put up more points in the third quarter. Otherwise, we'll technically have to say good third quarter defense. So they let him go all the way down to the goal line there at the end of it. But the Panthers up 7. Oh, do we have the Saints making some game-changing plays? Hey, yo, crowd's going crazy, grabbing our attention. Do we have, a run stop? Chua Hubbard, short yardage situation, and the defense for the Saints steps up. Shout out, 4 seconds, 3 seconds left in the third. We got the Seahawks. Are they going to run a play? Nope. So shout out, the Colts defense holds Seattle to 3 points in the third quarter, 9 points through 3 quarters. We'll see if the fourth quarter turns the luck against us here. But you got to give Phillip Rivers his credit for being feisty in today's game either way. And speaking of teams, hey, you dominate a bad team and you feel better about your performance. And we mentioned Trevor Lawrence earlier a little bit, but the Jags as well. And maybe we mentioned the Jags as like a legit AFC sleeper. I don't know if we can really go that far with it, but this has got to be the best game Trevor Lawrence has had in several years. Do we say that? Hey, yo, 330, 5 touchdowns and no picks is pretty crazy. I mean, the playoff win, I think we have to go back. Was that 2022 for the playoff win? And that was like a dramatic comeback type win. So that wasn't necessarily, him necessarily even playing like a great game as well, too. I think he was able to bounce back with the overall performance. But 330 might be up there for career yardage total as well, too. He hasn't hit 300 yards this season. This season, his highest total was 296, 271, 258, 256. So he had been close, but still hadn't quite crossed over there. And then had 3 touchdowns as well, too, a couple of times. But for his career, 332 his first game, chat. Hey, yo, but 3 touchdowns, 3 picks. So, going crazy, letting it all out, pause. But 54% completion percentage. Wait, what was he at today? Let's double check. 20 for 32. Not bad. Not bad. I guess I don't know what that number is, but more than 50. But still not quite like elite. But he has had, what do we have? 3rd and 13. Broncos fall forward, first down. Do we get it? Oh, I think Burkhardt was going crazy, and it was Puka Nacua making plays that got our attention there. But the Broncos did also simultaneously make a good play as well, too. So it'll be 4th and 1 for them at the same time. But he's had a 371, 2 touchdowns. I guess here, let's just look at his passer rating and see. Passer rating 136.7. His highest passer rating games 129.8. So this might be it. That might have been his best game. He had a 321 and 3 touchdowns, 10 yards attempt, 78% completion percentage against Baltimore, and that was also in 2022. And then he had a 258, and then the Rams do score. Blake Corum, shout out, go blue. So the Rams now starting to turn the tide a little bit against the Lions, and maybe a little bit, not necessarily a playoff eliminator. The Lions would be 8-6 is still pretty good. But, again, with how competitive it is and the NFC West continuing to move forward record-wise, it would look, starting to look a little bit bleaker for that team if they lose this game. He had Trevor Lawrence continuing those stat lines. He had a 258 and 2 touchdowns, 368 and 3 touchdowns, 235 and 2 touchdowns, and then 371 and 2 touchdowns and 1 interception in that game. So yeah, record-wise, stats-wise, this has got to be the best game of Trevor Lawrence's career. So against the Jets, it is what it is. Brady Cook starting at the quarterback spot. Shout out. I have to literally double check where he went to college at this point. Oh, Missouri guy. Shout out. Okay, not necessarily going to make us recall any of his starts over there or anything, but, clearly, maybe there's some UFL, CFL run as well, too, that maybe we're underestimating. But either way, not terrible today. 22 for 33. 3 picks, though, is, I guess, going to definitely holds you back a little bit there. But hey, you got Breece Hall, 12 for 23. It's on everybody, right? Pause. Everybody is to blame. Adonai Mitchell, though, the trade and the Sauce Gardner trade, and now he's 6 for 58 and a touchdown in this game. We gave up a good receiver and 2 first-round picks. Oh, chat. Don't check the tapes. We were trying to talk ourselves into it. But, hey, we'll see once Sauce Gardner gets back and healthy if the trade is still, looking like a win as well. But, yeah, the Jags definitely, I think, continue to move into a different tier where it felt like they were a team that was just kind of lucking their way into some wins and not necessarily being a good team. But it does feel like they have rounded into being, again, a good team. And Trevor Lawrence has been pretty consistent and pretty productive this year. You got to give him his credit. I don't know if he's going to be a Pro Bowler. I mean, he might get there eventually. But process of elimination and record, it's going to be pretty close. 18 touchdowns, 11 picks on the year, 2,800 yards for Trevor Lawrence. So Trevor Lawrence next year, he's going to 6 years, he'll cross 20,000 yards. Probably start passing like Roger Staubach in year 7 for career passing yards. But, like 1 to 2 playoff wins at that point. So now 3 weeks in a row for Lawrence without a pick is that late season turnaround as well that we were mentioning a guy like Jordan Love starts to have. Bo Nix today, though, 17 for 22, 213, and a couple of touchdowns. I mean, that's a pretty killer stat line. Hey, yo, and the run game is moving here a little bit. They are, of course, down 2, but driving now with 1:45 left in the quarter. So Bo Nix turnover free and adding a dynamic element to the offense. I mean, this is that December type of football that, again, if we're just looking for quarterbacks trending the right direction, and, not to bring Mahomes back into it, but, we would have to have seen, of course, what the next couple of games even would have looked like after this one. But it was just not even feeling like it was going to start to, become a better season at the last. This is where they turn it around, and this is the moment where all of a sudden it all just clicks into place. Maybe Bo Nix, like we're saying, he's had the crazy fourth quarters. He's had some crazy moments, but there has been the opportunities for him where it's like if he just puts this together, then this is going to be even a more dangerous team. And if he's starting to put it together, I mean, honestly, if Bo Nix is playing like a really good quarterback, they could be the best team in the AFC. This is maybe they should win the AFC type team and don't get brought up because people just don't necessarily have that week-to-week trust in Bo Nix as a quarterback yet. But even if you're looking at the infrastructure and Sean Payton as a coach, like, they are basically set at every spot for making that type of playoff run. And they've had a little bit of injuries to some of the running backs, but the receiving group is really good, and still the running back group is productive. You got an offensive line that can hold up, and the defense is, a playmaking defense. So and you just start comparing personnel as well, too, across the teams. It is probably taking the quarterback off of the roster is still the one roster that you might take in the AFC. And, chat, first Mahomes in the earlier game, and now Parsons in this one. Now Parsons in this one, down, holding is that the knee? Is that the shin? Did he get just shin to shin? What happened there? Oh, I don't know. Was that non-contact? Oh, chat. Oh, it was. It was. Oh, no. You don't even know what to say when something like this happens. I mean, it's, of course, just the waiting game now of, like, you just know the next 20 hours, 15, 20 hours of what is going to be the news, and then what does that mean for, not even that, the next 12 to 15 months. But, hey, the plant trying to get Bo Nix, and, I mean, absolutely, of course, as he would, complimenting the offensive line, Micah Parsons immediately just going out there and destroying the tackle, getting right by him. But anytime, of course, you get the plant and the reaction, it is a tough one to see. Hey, yo, Chad, is Agonis getting emotional? Is this time to go to break? Maybe this is where we go to break and just take a moment of silence for Micah Parsons' season. Superstars, chat. You hate to see that this is the superstars going to the tunnel chat. But first, like we're saying, uh, guys on both sides of the football now are unfortunately in a compromised position. I mean, you know, the NBA was already like the Tatum Halliburton thing. You lose a couple of big superstars there. Like those are some big name guys. Like Tatum could have been in the mix for the best player in the league this year. Just not to throw that out lightly, but he could have been. He could have been easily competing with, not easily again, but he this year as he continues to move into the peak of his powers can be competing with everybody we're seeing right now for who has the belt as the best player in the league. To remove him, to remove Halliburton, who's an All-NBA guard from the Eastern Conference competition, and his funness in terms of how he's able to conduct a team in a point guard driven type way is a big loss for the NBA. But imagine the NFL is an entity that of course can survive player injuries better than anybody, but just for the personalities and the fans and what we're going to miss out on, like you think about in the legacies as well too, like if you lose for next year Mahomes and Micah Parsons, again, you can't necessarily say are the ratings going to be affected. Like it's the NFL. At some point, those guys will retire as well too. And the NFL has always been like the NFL's not the NBA. The NFL's always been fine. So it is what it is. People probably still going to be tuning into Gardner Minshew next year. If there's other stars in the league, not necessarily say if there was 32 Gardner Minshews, would people be watching football? I don't know. But if you have Drake May and you have Jaden Daniels and you have CJ Stroud and you have a young core of guys developing, and you've got Micah Parsons kind of walking off the field, which we know that if you do of course have that ACL MCL situation, you can kind of walk off on your own power in a lot of circumstances. So that almost makes me even more nervous that he is able to do that, because it could be a simple hyperextension. It doesn't even look like a hyperextension. It's definitely just an awkward buckle when he plants. I mean, you hope that one of these times you see all the signs and of course you're just wrong. It is what it is. Like it very well could be the MRIs. Like, hey, he just had a knee sprain or something like that. Like maybe Mahomes gets a little bit of the same. Mahomes definitely could have been more of a sprain because the guy fell on his knee, which I guess could be more of a severe injury as well too. But again, the non-contact stuff, we know exactly where our mind goes there. So if for some reason, obviously, the initial reaction is wrong, then from a superstar standpoint, thank goodness. But yeah, that's just two big names to potentially go down. I mean, I don't know if maybe the problem is you couldn't argue Mahomes is the best offensive player in the league this year, but has there ever been a time where a sport has ever lost the best offensive and defensive player in the league at the same time? I guess, when MJ left basketball, speaking of, shout out to MJ. He's Pat Mahomes and Micah Parsons in one. Pause. But yeah, hopefully, just for, again, the health of the player there, everything is able to work out okay. And just for, again, the Packers Super Bowl odds as well, too. You hate to bring that up in terms of the, personal well-being of somebody as well, too, being a factor. But it is something that, of course, is going to have to be discussed, and definitely something that is going to be shifted now that he is out of the lineup. So third quarter winding down here. Last play of the third quarter off of the incompletion. 6 seconds left. 2nd and 15. And, you have Van Ness. You have a couple of guys. Bo Nix with the heater across the middle of the field to Troy Franklin. So speaking of guys' best games, I mean, this might be Bo Nix's best game of the season as well, too. 4 touchdowns. I mean, holy cow, that's got to be up. He probably hasn't done that too many times in general. But to be turnover free so far, I mean, they didn't show interceptions on the stat line, and I haven't seen one. I mean, my eyes have deceived me before. But has Bo Nix not thrown an interception today? Let's double check that on the box score. Can we try that? Jordan Love has, so he's at 247, 4 touchdowns, 0 picks, 146.2 rating going into the fourth. So hopefully this is not a Bo Nix karma game right here. Bo Nix, amazing 3 quarters, and then the fourth quarter just completely everything goes the opposite direction where the fourth quarter has been his crazy quarter beforehand. But he has had one game where he threw for against Kansas City, I guess this year, chat. Hey yo. Not this season, but it was January of this year. January 5th, 2025. He was 26 for 29, 321 and 4 touchdowns. And they won 38-0. Was that against that had to have been against Carson Wentz, right? Because I don't remember Mahomes. As I say, I don't remember Mahomes losing that bad to Bo Nix. They have lost to the Broncos in the past, but not getting that thoroughly outplayed by Bo Nix yet. Just a couple other guys at this point of the year. And then he had a 307-4 against Atlanta last year, November 17th, 2024. 248 and 3 touchdowns at a 124 rating. So yeah, if they win this game against the Packers as well too, because that game against Carson Wentz, I'm not saying you can't take it seriously. It's just obviously a different level of opponent versus a team having all of their starters. I mean, yeah, we're just saying that after an injury, but for the most part, for a team having all their starters in this game against Atlanta as well too, Kirk Cousins still, I guess, a decent team, but not necessarily on the same level as this Packers team. Again, the Broncos may be closer to that Falcons team than they were, this Packers team at this time. Maybe it's still an even matchup comparatively. But for where their status is at and for how he's playing so far, this is... And again, we're only in 3 quarters. So that alone might tell you it is the best they played so far. Rams up 10, 3rd and 3. If they can... 3rd and 3? If they can keep this drive going. Oh no, chat. Now Devontae Adams goes limp. Oh, chat, pause. But, hey, yo. Devontae Adams just running the deep route. Just pulled up hobbling. And now he's down on the ground, face planted. Is it, the agony of the injury? Or maybe he knows what he's dealing with as well, too. But, hey... I mean, what is happening? Week 15. You hate to see it. Oh, chat, the hammy. Oh, no. Hopefully it's just, the uncle ran the race at the route too fast. The race at the Thanksgiving dinner. It's like, let's get the uncles out there racing. Oh, no, I didn't stretch. I pulled the hammy. Give me a second. I'll be okay next week. But he was walking off the field okay there, from the camera angle, it's not like it was the ripple up the calf or something the same way it has been on some of these muscle tears per se. So maybe just a cramp or something like that. Maybe just bummed out. He didn't get the reception because he did have a step on the receiver there. So again, if he had do we say an old man moment? Hopefully he is okay, but hopefully as well too, just an old man moment for our guy Devontae Adams. 5 minutes left in Panthers Saints. And it is 3rd and 5 here as they try to continue to push the ball onto the other side of the field. They're only going to get to the 30, their own 30. So they're going to have to punt here. Hey, yeah, the little check down to McMillan. Not going to work out, but Bryce Young also turnover free today as well. So as the fourth quarters get going here, we'll take a quick break and then we'll be right back to wrap up the fourth quarters and the week 15 earlier games as well too, right after this break. All right, here we go, chat. We've got some fourth quarter action heating up. The Seahawks have cut it to a 1-point game. Oh no, Philip Rivers' debut, his return debut. Maybe it's spoiled. What do you call it? I guess it's just a return, but yeah, it's not a debut because he's also been on the team. But yeah, it's been 5 years he's been playing. He's an NFL veteran. It is weird. I was thinking about this for how. I don't know if it's like a career-defining moment for Philip Rivers, him returning after 5 years playing. It is a little bit. But I was trying to think of it, and again, not to be disrespectful, is it the first thing you're going to think of now when you think of Philip Rivers? Like, it's the most, again, just the recency bias of it as well, too. Like, it's the most recent thing that has happened, so there is that. But if you're just talking about, and again, I say this with all due respect, like, Philip Rivers is one of the great quarterbacks, production-wise that we've had across NFL history. But in terms of what is that defining Philip Rivers moment, if we're comparing him to other guys in that class, obviously statistically, he might even be statistically the best quarterback in that class between Eli and Roethlisberger. I know they all actually, like, Eli and Roethlisberger both ended up getting there at the end of their careers. Roethlisberger, from just an air it out standpoint, he is underrated. Like, Roethlisberger might have been the number one stats guy. He was kind of crazy. I actually kind of want to just go look at Roethlisberger's stats again, honestly. Some of those offenses, of course, that big three offense was just pretty elite to watch move up and down the field. Of course, I was just searching big Roethlisberger. Hey, yo, Ben Roethlisberger. Unfortunately, they matched up against the Patriots a couple times, and that happened. But, he had 4,900 yards in 2014, 32 touchdowns, 9 picks. And then 2018 was full chaos. 5,100 yards, 34 touchdowns, and 16 interceptions that year is crazy work. But, yeah, he never had, I guess those were the only 2 seasons he had 4,500 yards. But, he really started to hit 4,000 yard mark consistently 2013 and on. 3,800 yards plus was a little bit lower the first 10 years of his career there, kind of hovering just below 4,000-ish yards. Made even more Pro Bowls as well, too, starting 11 on. And then 14, 15, 16, 17 really was the peak of his pedigree Pro Bowl run. Earlier of his career, of course, winning the Super Bowls. Eli, did he get to 5,000 yards? He may have had like a 4,900 yard season in there. Let's double check his best years, maybe. Yeah, 49-33 in 2011. 29 touchdowns. It just reloaded here. 29 touchdowns, 16 picks. And then, 4,900, 4,400, 4,400, 4,200. So he definitely became a good stats guy as well, too. But Rivers early on was immediately, putting up, when he got into the games, more yards, because the first couple of years, I guess he did sit out. So there is that. Is a little Mahomesy there as well, too. But 4,000, 42, 47, 46, 44, 42, 47, 44, 43. Really, the last 7 years of his career, he was 4,000 plus yards a season, 4,400 yards a season, and then had a 3,600 yard year in 2011. But really every year he was 4,000 yards except for 2012. So if we, include that into the average, it's not going to drag the average below the 4,000 yard number. He's still from 2008 to 2020, so his entire career, excluding they haven't added in this year yet, because he did play that full year in 2020. It was still a decent stats year for Indy. I guess let's even just take that out and go 2010 to 2019, like the peak of Rivers' powers, 4,700 yards per 17 game seasons if he had been playing modern NFL all game 17 game seasons. So again, he's definitely the craziest stats guy, just in terms of what he could do in a regular season over the course of his career compared to those other guys. But in terms of actual playoff moments, I mean, again, Eli's career is playoff moments. That's what it is. It's his ability to have these clutch, crazy things happen in these incredible games. And Roethlisberger as well, too, was able to be a part of course, that 2005 Super Bowl team that was definitely a really great roster around him. And then the team that won with Santonio Holmes, like, he made a great drive to help, and a great throw as well, too, to get that to Holmes. He has some moments in there that are, that is a defining moment. That is like a great Super Bowl play. That Holmes catch and the whole play, the catch and throw, Roethlisberger scrambling, it's a great moment. So he was able to, have his way in the NFL history books, the NFL highlight books, in that type, like make it because of those moments. And Rivers just unfortunately hasn't had that. And weirdly enough, you're going to be like, what is the first thing you're going to think about with Phillip Rivers? It might be the fact that he took 5 years off and then came back and played. It honestly might. And especially if he's good, like these next 4 games, like kind of decent, like it is going to be way up there. And again, if you go back and think about the Colts quarterbacks over the last 5 years, he's now the defining quarterback of the 2020s for the Indianapolis Colts. Oh, man. It really is what it is. He is the first guy. Think of 1 year with Carson Wentz, 1 year with Matt Ryan. 7 games with Anthony Richardson. Like, Anthony Richardson's still on the team. He could still be playing. Forget about Cam Newton and Colin Kaepernick. We have a guy we drafted 4th overall a couple years ago. And he's not in the game, I guess. But Phillip Rivers is the guy for 2020s for Indianapolis football. So, weirdly, he defines a team. And this moment might define his career. Like, when you think of Phillip Rivers, you might think of the Colts first. I don't know how that happened in one season in 4 games. But he might have had, like, a weirdly legacy-defining thing happen for him this weekend. Maybe I'm just being dramatic because it's my team bringing back, a 45-year-old guy. But it is going to be, like I'm saying, legitimately one of the first things. Like, unfortunately as well, too, being a Colts fan against Phillip Rivers, his best playoff moments were against the Colts, but they were like knocking the Colts out of the wild card and divisional round. So again, it's more, kind of what the Colts didn't achieve those seasons, and it's fun. It's awesome that Phillip Rivers was able to, I guess, do that. But at the end of the day, you're not really remembering those types of things as much as like, oh, remember when the Chargers made it to the divisional round of the playoffs in 2008. And I think they maybe made a conference championship in there as well, too. So there were some good seasons. I'm not trying to, be disrespectful, but just nothing that is, like, super standout defining as, like, a legacy moment for Phillip Rivers. So, hey, yo. Shout out to the man for returning to the NFL. And I did see some people as well, too, joking that with Stafford closing in on his all-time stats record, that maybe he was returning to add some yards to that. And I honestly wouldn't not believe that that's kind of the case. Because Phillip Rivers is one of those psycho competitors. I mean, to take 5 years off and then want to go back out there, of course, you have to be a little bit psychotic. But, obviously in a good way, shout out. But the fact that he might be sitting around looking at his stats, being like, hey, yo, can I just keep Stafford off and just pause a little bit longer? Can I maintain? Because he might be number 10. I guess we could go look at that. But if Stafford passes him, does he fall out of the top 10 officially? So at least if he can stay that status for a little bit, that would be nice for him there. But yeah, it's a 2-point game now. Seattle's up by 2. Yeah, we just chugged some water here on the live stream. IT might have to go get us a refill. Honestly, we're powering through the water bottle this time. But, staying hydrated, 2026 goals is probably what we should try. This Brock Purdy page on this other computer has literally just been frozen the whole time. This is embarrassing, chat. Imagine us trying to actually do other work on this computer. I can't believe it. Now we're just going to start talking bad about it. We need it to actually work for us as well, too. But as we were also talking bad about Phillip Rivers, I guess. But, yeah, what I wanted to say was, I guess, I wanted to look up Justin Jefferson's numbers from last year because we were talking about how Sam Darnold, had a couple of tough games against the Rams and the Lions, and that definitely, of course, swung their season, and then it carried over into the playoffs. But JSN has made some pretty good plays here in the fourth quarter, and not to say that Sam Darnold is being carried by his receivers, but is a little bit Sam Darnold being carried by his receivers? I don't know. You go back and go, I guess, last year, Jefferson versus Detroit was 9 targets for 3 catches and 54 yards. So I guess at the end of the day, how much of that is on the receiver versus the quarterback. We could definitely go back and check that out. And In the playoff game against the Rams, he was 5 for 58, so not bad, but no touchdowns in either of those games. And then 8 for 92 in a win against Green Bay the week before that, but no touchdowns. So he was really, really kicking it until those last 2 games for the season. So I guess JSN still has time to do that, per se. But to see him kind of kick it up into gear here, and, it's not necessarily been... It's been a little bit of a quiet season for Jetta. I guess also the quarterback situation there has not been great. But just even pulling up his stats and looking at the last couple of weeks, this is since October 19th. So the last 8 games for Jetta, he has 35 receptions for 361 yards and a touchdown. So he has 4 receptions for 45 yards per game. So I know that, again, there is a whole quarterback debate that we could have. But a lot of this receiver stuff does... some of the argument can be built around as well too, like what as much as like the quarterback can elevate the receiver play. If we're just having the arguments about receivers, a lot of it can be, what does that production look like when the quarterback talent, of course, is decreased as well too? Is the receiver still able to have those great performances? And maybe we've seen Jamar Chase with Jake Browning have a couple of better games, or again, I don't know, JSN, if he's able to carry a little bit more some of these performances in the playoffs. Maybe he's just a more, a guy that just does. I'm not trying to say that Justin Jefferson doesn't step up, but I'm just saying maybe we get some crazy JSN games. I don't want to put him in like a Larry Fitzgerald mold, but as I'm sitting here thinking about it as well too, and the Colts on 3rd and 7 run the ball to Taylor, so definitely setting us up for going for it on 4th down, or are we just gonna kick a really, really long field goal? I think we might just kick a really, really long field goal. Hey, yo. Steichen's going to risk it. 8-5, I guess? I don't know. He thinks he's like, okay, we got Phillip Rivers. Nobody cares at this point. Just the fact that we covered is good enough. Vegas, we threw some people off there. We made some people some money. So people will keep Steichen around as the head coach as long as he's covering in these situations for Indianapolis. He is then considered a great coach. But, yeah, I do think that JSN does visually have a little Larry Fitzgerald to the aesthetic with the way he plays. Like, I think Jefferson, maybe a little, maybe a little bit more zooming around. Same with Chase, a little faster than, even though, Fitzgerald was obviously really fast, but maybe just a little bit different dynamic in the way that they play receiver. Oh, Chet, the Bo Nix pass on 1st and 10 is batted around and almost picked off. As we say that, the Colts nail the 60-yard field goal. So the 1-point lead with 47 seconds left. Phillip Rivers. Hey, yo. Chad, we're all in now. Now, not only is he the best quarterback that the Colts have had in the 2020s, he's now our favorite. Shout out, beloved Colts quarterback Phillip Rivers. Hey, yo. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? But this is, I guess, this is the fun of having him back. Not the fun of having him back, but I guess, is this why he returned? To add to the legacy? Or just because he's just, like we're saying, a crazy cycle competitor? I don't know, but either way. The Colts at 9-5. I mean, I guess we need the win to keep making the playoffs. I don't know what. We kind of need to make the playoffs at this point. We don't have our pick, so what else are we going to do? I guess we could just keep losing for the principle of tanking's the right thing. But tanking is the right thing if you can control your destiny and have your pick. So, at this point, just make sure that the Jets don't get a good pick and keep winning your games. Make sure Steichen looks good as the head coach. Maybe Steichen continues his coach of the year run as well too. Again, with the way that he has had Daniel Jones playing this year, his name was definitely considered there. Let me check the odds even. Is it who has risen above Steichen at this point? Probably Vrabel, with the way the Patriots, of course, have been playing, or Canellis. Maybe the Patriots are praying as well too. That's probably why they're winning some games. Canellis, I'm sure, is also in the mix. But Panthers, Bryce Young getting sacked by Chase Young on 1st down with the game. The game's tied though, so they're not in a terrible spot here. 2nd and 19 though is obviously not ideal, but and I guess Ayo, they don't have the Coach of the Year awards posted. That's right. I always go to look for the other awards and they only ever have the MVP available. Stafford is now moved to -250. Ooh, so Stafford's gonna win the MVP. Shout out. I mean, we said a couple weeks ago that that's kind of what we want to have happen. So at this point, if it continues to trend this way, then I'm glad to see it. Mahomes' name out of the mix. It is what it is. You can bet Trevor Lawrence. You can bet JSN. You can bet Jahmyr Gibbs. You can bet Caleb Williams. But you can't bet Pat Mahomes. You can bet Bo Nix. But you can't bet Pat Mahomes, chat. Sad times. Sad times. I mean, we're not Chiefs fans. And we've never officially declared them a mistress team. But, hey, yo, we've been seen with the Chiefs fans a lot. We've been, a lot of pro Pat Mahomes takes. So, I don't know. Maybe you guys just draw some conclusions there. But we'll just continue to move in not so silence with our Chiefs mistress fandom and our Mahomes mistress fandom. It is what it is. A lot of mistress teams in the AFC West these days. I don't know. Just a trendy division. But first and goal, Denver up by 1, trying to help solidify the lead here. Harvey turns up the field. Touchdown, chat. I don't know if the race to 30 is the winner for the game, but the Broncos now cross 30 points like we were saying earlier. If they have to go toe-to-toe in any way with the Packers offense, what does that look like? And Bo Nix has been every bit as good as Jordan Love today. I don't know if this is hey, can we rely on this every week going forward? But again, he's been getting better over the course of the season. And I think Harvey's in there. Pause. Yeah, knee down, ball over the end zone. I mean, what are the rules, Chad? I think he's definitely got it there. Yeah, no review. Easy call. 6 rushing touchdowns for Harvey this season. The rookie taking over for Dobbins. Shout out. So we'll see, I guess, also as well, if Darnold is able to lead a last-second drive here. Ooh, the Seahawks are suspiciously close to field goal range. Uh-oh. They're at their own 38. What happened? We missed a couple of plays, and all of a sudden Sam Darnold's driving. Is it JSN carrying again? Is it JSN making some catches, some catch and runs? Can we rewind the red zone? Hey, yo. We might have to go back. We might have to get some replays. They're sending, 4th and 2. They have to send at the field goal unit now. Okay, so even if he makes, Phillip Rivers is going to get 20 seconds. The 13-second game reincarnated. It's Phillip Rivers, chat. Who would have thought? Phillip Rivers versus Seattle, the drama. Oh, I was going to say the replay on the field. The double TV is mixing us up. They just replayed the Colts field goal. And I thought maybe that was Seattle making it there. But here we go. 56 yards for Seattle. It's closer than the Colts. I don't know if that makes it more likely. Oh, it's up, Chad. Is it to the left? Oh, it goes. It goes with 18 seconds, 16-18, Seattle. They've got to keep pace with LA. LA looking like they're going to win 11 versus Detroit. So Seattle, ayo, if they want to keep the 1 seed, they're going to have to close this one out. I don't know if Jonathan Taylor in the run game with 18 seconds. We only need a field goal. We only need a field goal. If we get a good kick return, maybe, and we have all 3 timeouts somehow. 18 seconds and all 3 timeouts? With Phillip Rivers as the quarterback, do we trust it, chat? Do we trust it? I don't know. Hey, yo, are there any games that we have to mention quickly before these games wrap up? I guess we got 7 minutes left in Broncos Packers, so we are chilling there. Just the other 2 are starting to wind down. Which one is up next? We did mention Jags, Jets, Chargers, Chiefs. We did mention, and Texans, Cardinals, just to mention the AFC South continuing to dominate as well. Both of those teams, I guess, put up 40 points, and I guess held the Cardinals to 20 is not bad when you're putting up 40. But definitely for Stroud. Again, speaking of best games, and we mentioned, what was it, last week or 2 weeks ago? It's like, hey, that post-Thanksgiving time, like the league's going to shift. It always does. Maybe is shifting the right term. Like Texans are good. Like they've kind of been good all year. They're getting healthy as well too. But just for them to continue to emerge. Testing, are we back? Okay, I realized I was messing with the mic cable there. Just to look at the AFC and go, yeah, they might actually really have a shot to win this thing. And especially with Stroud now starting to look like a version of Stroud that is more familiar to the player that we thought in the past. 22 for 29, 260, 3 touchdowns, 0 picks. Much better day from Stroud. And again, if he's right there producing like one of the best quarterbacks in the league with their defense, I mean, that roster specifically, talking about Denver, that defensive roster may be right there for winning the Super Bowl. I know their offensive line, maybe game to game, not always able to compete. And there may be a matchup where if the pressure, speaking of Denver, Chet and Phillip Rivers threw a pick. There it is. 6 seconds left. He has to push it downfield, and it goes bad. It is what it is. But, hey, like we said, 13-point game. If you bet the alt line down to, like, Seattle +3 or whatever, then, hey, or whatever you needed to do to make this favorable for yourself, then hey, it worked out. But Phillip Rivers, shout out, unfortunately, a costly interception to end the game. It is what it is. But for, like we said, Stroud is turning around. And they do have, Jawar Jordan, the running back today, had 15 for 101. So Woody Marks, still 7 carries for 30 yards. And even he has, of course, had good moments this season. So now that running back room, like going into the season, that was definitely one of the things. Like, speaking of Chiefs running backs, it's like Texans running backs. Who are they going to have? Nick Chubb, definitely a veteran guy. You love to see still fighting and playing running back. But in terms of a consistent over the course of the season production, are you going to get, the same type of balance on offense that you would need if you have him as your main guy? But if these are your 2 running backs now, and again, Cardinals, who knows where they're trending at this point in the season as well too. I don't know if they're it would probably not be Gannon. That would be the major move that would be made in the offseason, would be my guess. They'd probably, switch up other spots on the roster. But Gannon. But of course the Cardinals are not necessarily like the hottest team in the league at this point. But it does seem like their run game is figuring out a little bit more. Like we're saying, Stroud is getting consistent. Nico Collins today, 3 receptions for 2 touchdowns. A Randy Moss performance. Shout out. 85 yards. Dalton Schultz, most of the receptions, 8 receptions, but he also did get a touchdown, so you can't be too mad. Stroud distributing around there a little bit. And Montgomery gets into the end zone on 1st and goal. So it was 27-41 there. Again, LA. The Stafford, you can see why they were pushing the odds for the MVP into the major minus territory there. Minus 250 is basically just give them the award now. But hey, they kicked the field goal here, and it is officially a 7-point game. 2 timeouts in the 2-minute warning with 2:42 left. Stafford could be losing his MVP. What was Josh Allen for MVP odds? If Hutch gets a sack here and commits a turnover, this would be like a Hutch play for sure. Josh Allen plus 500 for MVP right now. And 3 games left. Again, if he goes crazy in that Eagles game, I do think there is real potential for him to reclaim his lead in that award. But Love with the turnover in the 4th is the reason the Broncos have the ball now again, and with 5 minutes left, can definitely start to use up some clock. Even if they score here, Bo Nix, almost having his turnover-worthy pass there on the run, rolling out. Definitely risky, underthrowing the receiver, but hey, he's had a clean game so far, so I know you don't want to take the risks in the 4th quarter. But, shout out for the amount of time it took for him to get to that place. I don't know. 4 touchdowns, a career high. You love that. 2 picks on the game for Love as well, too. Oh, chat, and the Saints quarterback, I just looked over and he had the body language of a guy that just got concussed. I don't know what happened, if we can get a replay there. 9 seconds left in the 4th quarter. Is a penalty going to set them up for a loss? Oh, chat, he can barely walk off the field. Somebody get this guy some help. This is crazy. They went for a... Oh, yeah, chat, that's an aggressive hit. Quarterback definitely slid. They went for a little quarterback draw up the middle to, I guess, continue to set themselves up in better field goal range. And yeah, yo, chat, he just got unfairly punished there by the safety. It is what it is. You do have him. It is close. You do see that in real time. He's making a aggressive play at the quarterback, but you kind of have to know what the quarterback's going to do there as well too. Or just maybe the fact that it's quarterbacks. I don't know. How much can you say? You kind of have to know. It's like, you can't tackle a guy in a certain situation, but that is a little egregious, and the penalty 15 yards, with them at midfield is going to be pretty costly at this point. I guess they're trotting him back out there so he has a chance to block the field goal if they do have that. Did they call a flag? They did call a flag, but they're running Spencer Rattler out there for another play. So, Spencer Rattler, shout out. Slow. Okay, he's trying to get back on the field. I don't know if he's just wandering the wrong direction or trying to check back in the game. Honestly, at this point, it could be either with the way that he was reacting to the hit. I mean, it was the definite unconscious arms there for a second. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but when the arms go back, definitely a football thing as well too. For some reason, I guess it happens at fighting, but I don't know, just the football concussion pose And that's a sad thing to say as well too. We're not trying to just make light of that, but I mean, it's what he was facing there. So you bring in Spencer Rattler to throw an incompletion. I guess you do have to run a couple seconds off. It is 6 seconds left. Just a quick show of the Spencer Rattler career stats there. The completion percentage may be down just a smidge now that he's 0 for 1 in this game. But 6 seconds left. I guess they can go out and kick the game-winning field goal now potentially and upset the Panthers' spot at getting that number 1 seed in the... Oh, Chad, the MRI is back for Mahomes. It's an ACL. Oh, Chad, 2026? 2026 is in jeopardy for Mahomes now. Oh, no. This is about as desperate as you can get. Can we see if our guy Sam is okay? This is I think he's just talking about the in-season tournament. He's just gonna try to pivot to, let's just talk about the Spurs. Like, he's like, yeah, you want to talk about that, right? No, we want to talk about the Chiefs. We want to talk about Mahomes. He's cooked. Oh, chat, that's tough. The next season stuff is tough as well too. Obviously maybe is this Reed's 08? That is, I think, one of the main reasons that we do consider, and maybe we put too much stock in that 08 season for Belichick, but that season is one of the first seasons that gets brought up in those conversations. I mean, maybe not compared to, the early Patriots run as well too, and then even that Giants Super Bowl back in the day when he was the defensive coordinator. But that 08 season, for them to have as good of a regular season record as they would, regardless, or granted against, some fair opponents, like, some games maybe they could have easily won, but still managing with a backup quarterback to get those games. And they do get the field goal. 2 seconds left, though. So I guess if the Panthers get a good return, a miracle return here, we'll see. Oh, is there a penalty on some type? Is it on the return or on the kick? If it's on the kick, I don't know if you want to re-kick it necessarily, but it would give you the opportunity to run the rest of the clock out. So, yeah, they are going to decline it. I mean, it would be a very short field goal, so it's not like at that point 2 15-yard penalties. You're looking pretty good. But, yeah, for the 2020 for the Reed factor, we were saying, Belichick was able to have a real legacy building season there that year in a way with Castle and having that good record. So, I mean, Reed has obviously had a great legacy without Mahomes and really competitive teams with McNabb and with Alex Smith. And if they are able to, like, that is a team that still, like, we have to look at for them getting a guy. I know they're not going to be able to probably, go trade for, like, Dak Prescott. Now if we're talking trade Mahomes, like, you get Mahomes 2 years from now before he's fully healthy. Dak Prescott's healthy right now. Is that the trade? But, do they go get whatever the Daniel Jones option is? Maybe it is Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson to the Chiefs would be the funniest turn of event for Sam's in this whole thing. He goes from rooting for Mahomes and the greatest quarterback of all time to now it's his turn cheering for Anthony Richardson. Would be great, but I don't even think that would happen. So maybe it's Phillip Rivers for a full season in Kansas City. Maybe it's finally Cam Newton. Cam Newton, honestly, he was talking about playing for the Colts. Maybe next year that's the move. But I don't know. But maybe for the Chiefs, Cam Newton is the starting quarterback for 10, 12 weeks in 2026 while Mahomes gets healthy. But, again, it's going to be that Burrow situation a little bit for this year where what does their record even look like by the time Mahomes gets back next year? They could still, if they're in the 500 range, they could still maybe pull together a winning streak and then, obviously make a run if he's in the playoffs at that point, and then a fun Mahomes sort of legacy season as well too. But the MJ comparisons, chat, now he's got to take a year and a half off. This is just his retired year. This is his year where he retired, but technically he played and just put up bad stats, and then next year is that other year where he's retired and then, maybe plays his way back in the latter half of the year. But Broncos with another sack here on Jordan Love, forcing him into a 3rd and 17. A little overwhelming in the fourth quarter. Again, it still only sits at a 8-point game, so one score, not looking like a blowout or anything. But definitely Jordan Love has looked a little more rushed, and the Packers offense a little less productive here. And Bo Nix, obviously a risky throw earlier, but for the most part, they've still been able to manage good production here. So really good fourth quarter in terms of, again, this week setting themselves apart in terms of the hierarchy of the league. If Bo Nix is playing this well, I think they might have to be the AFC favorites, and then maybe Houston, and then New England. I mean, Denver, Houston, New England. We have to, we knew the order was going to be different with Lamar, obviously, but Mahomes and Lamar as a contender as well too, being out, and then Josh Allen still in the mix, but that Bills team as a roster, like we've said, is just not on the level as some of these rosters. So is Josh Allen just going to have this superhero playoff run, which would be awesome? And I mean, now without Mahomes is set up for him perfectly as well too. But also these other teams are really, really, really crazy good, and just going to be difficult for him to compete against if these defensive lines are overwhelming. Like the way that Benito and some of these guys can get pressure, it's going to be difficult to face. And he might be the best pass rusher. I was going to say the best pass rusher in the AFC. That just shows you what Cleveland has done to Myles Garrett's career, which maybe we should address that as well too, because he's now 1 sack away from the all-time record. And I mean, it is what it is. It has to, and I'm not trying to say this disrespectfully toward Myles Garrett, but it has to be the biggest waste of a superstar career in sports history. I don't know if there's a baseball guy that has been on more desperate situations, but for the NBA, I can't think of a guy that is as good, that's like the greatest guy of all time, and just was on consistently bad teams like this. Again, there is that impact that you would have, like Charles Barkley probably could never, like if you're a player as good as Charles Barkley, or if you're a player as good as, we'll say Myles Garrett in the NBA, it's probably impossible that you could be on a team as bad as the Browns, just because of the way that basketball works. But for the NFL, I can't think of another guy. I mean, like Reggie White on the Eagles were good, I think, with Reggie White. And then he got traded to the Packers, and the Packers won a Super Bowl. But here, let me go double check some of those Eagles regular seasons, because I don't know exactly how he was overlapping with like Randall Cunningham or Jaworski. I think Randall Cunningham was like a little bit earlier than Reggie White there. But like if we go, I don't know, pick a year. I mean, he's all pro every year, starting in 86, and they were 5-10 that year, 7-8. So 10-6 by 88. Again, okay, yeah, he is playing with Cunningham as well too. 3,800 yards that year, 24-16. So yeah, as long as he's playing with him, then they're good to go. 11-5, 10-6. What do we got after that? 10-6 as well too. 11-5 is Reggie White. When did he go to the Packers as well too? We need to know what year that trade actually ended up happening. So yeah, that puts him at 31. So he played. Oh yeah, then 93 he would have gone to Green Bay the year after that. So that run in Philly, yeah, that's still a good team. Is it the best team in the league? But still a really good team. And then Green Bay winning records the whole time he's there. So I mean, again, definitely not this situation whatsoever. Maybe Barry Sanders would be one. I don't know what Barry Sanders' career winning percentage is. They don't have it on here for the non-quarterbacks on Pro Football Reference, but I guess just a quick scan through Detroit's years at that time, starting in 89. So we go 89 to 98. I guess unfortunately for Barry Sanders, a little shorter than some guys, but we got 7 wins, 6 wins, 12 wins, 12-4, 91 was that their playoff year that year. 5 wins, 10 wins. We've got, and I guess technically Myles Garrett did have a couple winning seasons with Baker Mayfield. 9 wins, 10 wins, 5 wins, and then 9 wins. I think we're still Barry Sanders, 97. And then, 98? Barry Sanders, 2,000 yards in 1997. 1998, 1,400 yards. Only 4 touchdowns that year, though, on 400 carries. Maybe that just shows you where the Lions offense was at. And then Barry Sanders leaves, and then they're 8-8 the next year without Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders Ewing theory? Barry Sanders theory? Sanders theory? Okay, it doesn't exist. Hey, yo. And then 2000, they were 9-7, though, as well. And then, 2-14 in 2001. Back to the Detroit Lions that we know for this for this decade. But, oh, chat. Yes, we're still watching the TV. Where did the remote go? Give us a second. We got to run and save the TV. It's turning off on Are we back? There we are. Sorry to disconnect the mic, but we had to step over the cable, and we got it with 1 second left, chat. It's the most clutch thing we've done today. It is what it is. Maybe, who knows? Maybe we'll change that up later. But, yeah, for Barry Sanders, maybe it's Barry Sanders, Calvin Johnson. I guess maybe Lions players as well, too, would have the other case. But, I mean, the man is going to have the best individual season at the position that anybody has ever had. And it's going to result in, I'm not going to say nothing for the team. I just mean the team around him has done absolutely nothing to help him out. I mean, Shedeur Sanders being in the mix, is that the future set up at quarterback? We'll have to see, I guess, more games under his belt, how he continues to trend there. But 2 games in the greatest season of all time for a defensive end is a tragedy. So this is the most I've ever wanted anybody to ever get traded. And it's, out of all respect for Myles Garrett, to see him in the playoffs. I mean, do we have to double check this again? I think he may have only played in 1 playoff game. I mean, the over-under, just me thinking about it, is I'm going to set it at 1.5. And if he's played 2, I'm going to be shocked. Oh, he's played 3. He's played 3 playoff games. They played 2 playoff games. I guess if you win one, then even if you lose the next one, you're still playing in that. So, yeah, he somehow made the playoffs in 2023. Was that the Flacco game as well, too? So 3 playoff games for Myles Garrett, and I guess 1 sack in 3 playoff games. He could have 4 or 5 sacks, 3 playoff games. That'd be fun as well, too. But, for him in his 30s here, we need this guy in a playoff team. We need him in competitive football. We need him to have some legacy moments. We can't have a career as great. Speaking of Phillip Rivers, we can't have a career as great as Myles Garrett and just be like, well, is he the best defensive end of all time? Maybe. What's the best Myles Garrett moment? It doesn't exist. The Browns were awful. But again, he might be the greatest defensive end of all time. The only reason he can't be is because the Browns are so bad. Because every other defensive end has been in these major moments. But he is in every sack metric now per season, about to be the number 1 sack guy. I know we're jinxing him as he's 1 sack away. He's probably going to, somehow not get there. But, he has, at least he's gotten there. He's in the range. He's close enough. We get it. He's great. So, he's gotten the season total that he needs to get. His career total up until this part in his career is as good as anybody. Like, it's the most for anybody in their career up until this part in their career as well, too. Again, you just got guys like Reggie White having playoff impact. You've got, I guess, Bruce Smith with that Bills team in the mix. I mean, Aaron Donald, of course, got his Super Bowl as a pass rusher. I mean, like Deacon Jones? I guess I'm not going to disrespect Deacon Jones, but we're going to put Deacon Jones over Myles Garrett? We actually might. Maybe Deacon Jones is one of the few guys. Go back and check some of the numbers. I guess they didn't start tracking sacks technically, I don't think, for a lot of his career. Because he did have 22 in 64 and in 68, but I don't know if they counted that. He had from 64 to 60, I guess we'll say 69, 22, 19, 16, 21, 22, 15, and then 12 again in 1970. So just an insane run for Deacon Jones there as a defensive end. But I guess outside of those guys, there's the Vikings guys in the day as well too. Alan Page. I think I'm thinking of Alan Page. Alan Page might have won a league MVP. Let me double check that. Yeah, 1971, Alan Page, league MVP. I'm sure we brought him up before, but I'm just telling you right now, there's not 10 guys from a talent standpoint that have played defensive line, both interior and exterior. There's not 10 guys in NFL history that have been better than Myles Garrett. You could probably find 10 careers that have worked out in various ways better than Myles Garrett. But again, you're not going to find 10 better. So the fact that this guy needs to get in some play, we need this to happen. This is an absolute travesty. There's not an NBA comparison, I don't think, to this. I'm sure we could ask more knowledgeable NBA people, and I'm sure there's some close ones. But you would probably look at those situations, and it might be directly related to the player as well, too, where it's just not that case for Myles Garrett. As maybe there are some individual moments over the course of the season, Myles Garrett is not giving up enough plays for them to not be more than a 2-win team. You're not looking back and go, well, Myles Garrett was doing this again, and this is why they're at 2 wins. He is, again, literally one of the all-time absolute legendary best guys to ever do it. One of the physical, just absolute freaks, in one of the best ways possible. There's just no matching Myles Garrett's physical ability and talent. And still, it's just been, I mean, in some ways, maybe good for the league that it just hasn't been able to destroy the league constantly if he was on like Kansas City or playing with a good quarterback. But I mean, come on, at this point, he deserves it. I want to see him destroy the league for a couple of years. So maybe Indy. Oh, that's right. We traded our first couple of picks. It is what it is. 4th and 15. Love incomplete. And the Broncos are going to take the win, chat. What a week of NFL football to help, figure out maybe some of this hierarchy stuff. And now that because I think we were going to be, it was always going to be interesting to see what would the playoff scenarios look like if the Chiefs were in there. And if Mahomes and Reed are in the playoffs, are we picking them to just make the Super Bowl because that's what they do every year? But now they're not in it, so we can actually look at the league honestly. And it's like, oh, yeah, no, the Broncos are probably going to make the Super Bowl. The Texans are probably going to make the Super Bowl. It should be one of those two teams. It should be the Rams or the Seahawks in the Super Bowl for the NFC. And then maybe the Patriots and the Lions are on that next tier of teams looking in, and the Bills as well, too. But I think that's got to be it. And there we've had a lot of family in town for the holidays, and one of the people we were talking to was, they were trying to get a prediction out of us, chat. It is what it is. And maybe we were, just be like, what are we doing here? Like, it's fine. We don't have to give a prediction. But also, it's like, yeah, we don't really know what to think of the league as long as you do have some of these legacy quarterbacks lingering in the potential pool for playoff teams. And like I'm saying, at that time, you're like, yeah, I probably would pick the Broncos, but would I pick the Broncos over Mahomes? I guess I would have to now. And again, it seems so much more obvious now that obviously it's been finalized and they're done. But going back even a couple weeks, you're like, I guess I would, but I could still see it. And there's that divisional familiarity. I guess maybe Drake May's not totally ready to take Mahomes yet. I mean, Mahomes obviously gets Josh Allen in every year. So you just start going case by case and you're like, maybe there's something. But now it's like, yeah, obviously, again, these are the top teams. And, even Jacksonville at 10-4, maybe it makes sense that they were, getting that win against Kansas City that week as well, too. So do we have to mention, we should mention the Spurs win as well, too, against the Thunder last night before we take off, because that was definitely the game of the year in the NBA up until this point. And like we were saying a little bit earlier in terms of the Patriots versus the Bills, I mean, we were ready to walk away from that game encouraged just by how well, we were playing and how well we were keeping up with OKC. And you've got Wemby on a minutes restriction. So it's like, well, I guess if Wemby is playing, 30 to 35 minutes, then maybe anything is possible. Maybe we could actually win a series against this team. But we might actually, if we do, of course, become a title contending team officially or even win a title someday, it really is, I think, going to be because of Steph Castle and the way that he was able to backcourt go toe-to-toe with Shea in that game. And the confidence that he has from a shot-making standpoint as well, too. Like, I don't know at this point if, he's ever going to become like a Shea-type offensive player, or even like Jalen Brunson or something like that, where he's always game-to-game just a super efficient scorer. But I do think that he's got a little like of that Anthony Edwards type. And even Anthony Edwards, like we've seen this year, is moving into more efficient, consistent play as well, too, being 50% from the field when he's out there, at least the last time I checked. But, Castle, when you really call for it in a big moment or you need him to step up, like he has the confidence to just kind of make any shot that you need him to make. And his ability to like patiently get to the basket as well, too. Like you just see him knifing through that Thunder defense, and he's just patient enough to kind of let all the defenders fly by and hang in the air and get these little layups and these little floaters. And that little 360 twister shot that he had, of course, was just insane. And I know that Wemby's still continuing to, be a terrifying scorer as well, too. But Castle, like, legit might be the go-to guy that we have on this team in terms of the irrational confidence and the trust that we have as well, too. Like, I kind of trust Castle in shot-making moments at this point. Like, I know he might not have the numbers or whatever, but just his confidence and his abilities. Like, I kind of think he can just make any bucket when he needs to at this point. Again, within reason of him being a second-year player who's still developing. And, like, Fox and Harper, of course, Harper is still going to be, being better over the next couple of years. But Fox is not even like fully the best version of what Fox could be on this team. And he was pretty good in that game against the Thunder as well too. But oh, chat. Oh, we made it out of a freeze. Oh, look at that. Hey, I just looked over and saw the computer froze up, and I was like, oh no, it happened once again. I was like, at least we made it through an episode, but we're back. We're back. I don't know how long we were potentially frozen. I think I only looked over for a second, but hey, yo, once we start rambling about, it's like enough runtime for Wemby on this pod. We've got to move on to other topics. So that's why we saved just mini reactions for the end. That's all. You know, we just had to mention that. Hey, yo, I mean, it's not a surprise that the Spurs are here if we're, I mean, it's like, yes, in one scenario, I guess the Blazers beat the Thunder earlier, and it's not like we were considering the Blazers title threats. But, of course, the Spurs were a team that we're waiting to see from a playoff standpoint how much we get there. And I think more so importantly, I guess the Castle thing was important as well, too. But, you know, even Wemby versus Shea, where in the limited minutes that he did have just to be the best player on the court so dramatically, where, and I'm not going to take anything back that I said about Shea and his greatness and how great, you know, he potentially could be in the guys that he could be dealing with in terms of the legacies that could be overlapping if they have a great season this year. But this doesn't mean that Wemby's not potentially the better player when he's on the court. And I think that was starting to make us nervous and it's also the greatness of Wemby as well, too. And Shea's still a great player. But it's like, is Shea becoming too good? Like, can Wemby be this good? Like, hey, yo, Shea's just going to make every bucket? Like, how do you stop this guy? But then Wemby gets out there and immediately destroys the game. And you're like, no, Wemby's the best player. Well, I guess we can't call him like the best player in the league right now. But, I mean, not to say that we wouldn't have thought this before, but you're not trading anybody in the league for Wembanyama. Hey, yo, the man is too valuable. He's too impactful. And I'm honestly getting to the point where after watching that game last night, like, I don't know, is there a player in NBA history we would trade Wembanyama for? Like, don't ask us right now. Don't ask us right now. We haven't even won the NBA Cup yet. And Spurs fans are already getting excited about the potential of this team. But the way he is able to completely change the game, even just like immediately he steps on the court and the entire tone of the game shifts. And now as his shot making continues to get better as well too, he is just continuing to be more and more scary. In his handle as well too, like there was times where the Thunder were really swarming that and putting pressure on that, and you can see that is the way to, you know, when he's dribbling around, that's the way you get to him. Is that's still not quite where it needs to be, and he might ever, you know, he's not crazy crossovers and stuff, like who knows where he'll get in terms of that level, but just in terms of, you know, having decent ball security when he needs to as well too, like that even can take a step up and, you know, unlock him even more as a player. But this is, you know, and again, it's the wrong time to be asking us, but this is the best core of guys in the league. It is what it is. Wemby, Castle, and Harper is the best three core of guys. And I think Wemby and Castle is the best 1-2 punch in the league for building blocks going forward. I think Jokic carries in terms of 1-2. And yes, Jokic and Murray, there's a legacy there. There's a pedigree there. I get it. You know what they accomplish. And again, you're getting Jokic as a part of that duo. So Jokic and anybody is a great duo. And Shea and Jalen Williams just won the title. So I'm not saying you're wrong by taking them as well too. And again, Shea is having as great of a guard production as we've seen, and Jalen Williams is the perfect complement to that as a wing player. But I think Castle has a little bit more offensive upside than, you know, Jalen Williams scoring 40 points in the game in the finals as well too, and is defensively a great defender. So, you know, again, two-way thing. Like, there's nothing that Jalen Williams can't do that Castle can't do per se, but I don't know, like Castle is just the mentality that he has. I'm just drawn to his confidence and his swagger, I guess, and his persona more so than some of these other guys. And obviously same with Wemby, combined with the fact that yes, Wemby is obviously the most special gifted player that the league has ever seen. But that's like the official statement. Spurs are yes here, but it's like Wemby and Castle are the building blocks that you want going forward in the league. And, you know, I guess Tatum and Brown as well too, we have to mention, you know, top 5 guys in the league, potentially both of them. We have top 10 guys in the league. Brunson and Cat, you know, if I guess we're just doing rankings at this point, I think maybe we start to move into a different tier. Again, this year versus the future is a different argument, but yeah, if you're asking Spurs fans right now, and again, the Wemby piece of it, obviously, but Castle, there's very few guys in the league that I would trade Castle for. at this point. And I'm just Harper. Yes, he's part of the team, so lock him in. There's nobody we would trade Harper for as well too. But rookie contract versus Jalen Williams on a extension now. I don't know. Trade value experts might have to weigh in and say, but I think Castle might be the better value. I can't think of too many other guys at this point that would be like mentioning Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown versus Steph Castle. Hey, yo, speaking of asking trade value guys, what would they say to that? That would be a crazy what if. Because again, you could really, and especially with the second apron, really set up some flexibility in a different way. Castle versus Amen Thompson. I mean, I'm saying no right now, but I guess I'm just going to think about, how much am I going to regret saying no potentially? I don't think I am. I think that could be a little, and I'm going to say this dramatically, a little Hakeem Jordan-ish, where even if Amen Thompson, better player, we could still, and again, with Wembanyama, be happy with Steph Castle and Amen Thompson and Wemby. I mean, that's pretty crazy. Cade and Steph Castle. Hey, yo, now we call Steph Castle's the new Steph. Is that even the hotter take? Is Steph Castle just stole the Steph nickname after taking down the Thunder? I don't think that's true. But obviously, we can't trade Steph for Steph. We can't trade Steph Castle for Steph Curry because Steph Curry's too old. No, we can't say that. We respectfully can't trade for Steph Curry because we can't take him away from the Warriors franchise. That's what it is, right? LaMelo Ball? I mean, as much as we love LaMelo, I think LaMelo's got to stay in Charlotte as well, too, if that's the trade. So Cade's an interesting one. Cade's tough. And Brunson, you get Brunson this year, I get it. Brunson's a better player right now than Castle is. Would I trade Castle's next 10 years for Brunson's next 10 years, Castle's next 8 years? I'm not giving up whatever Castle is right now for whatever any of these other guys are. It would have to be, I guess, maybe Cooper Flagg. Maybe Cooper Flagg, but Steph Castle also looked pretty good against Cooper Flagg this year, and there's only really one, I guess maybe 2 years difference because Cooper Flagg reclassified, but not enough to make me reconsider it. So I think we're safe there, and I guess Dylan Harper was the number 2 pick in that draft, so we're not going to necessarily say we'd rather have Castle or Dylan Harper. But Castle versus Con Knipple, I mean, with all due respect to Con Knipple, he's been awesome. I think I'm still taking Steph Castle. So, I mean, I'm not saying the Spurs are title contenders this year, but who knows? Maybe Western Conference Championship contenders is not unrealistic. And maybe, like we were saying earlier, when Sam, last time Sam was on, he was asking us, who are we afraid of in the West? And it's like, I'm not saying we're the Memphis Grizzlies. We're okay in the West. And yes, OKC, yeah, they're scary. I'm not saying we're not scared of OKC, but, we've got the team set up to match up with them anyways. And we have a team that, against Denver and a crazy guy like Jokic, at least we can match up with the team like that. So I expect us, again, to match up with those teams. I don't know if we're going to get wins right now, but we can be competitive. And if that's the case, then I think we can get wins against the Lakers and against the Warriors and against the Timberwolves and against these other Western Conference teams. Not saying that, again, we're going to necessarily make the run. I'm just saying whatever my personal hierarchy is for the Western Conference and these teams, I think it's fair to say that the Spurs are at least the 3rd team in the West. If we're fully healthy, we're at least the 3rd team in the West, maybe 2nd. I don't know if you put us over Denver after that one win, just because of the supporting cast as well. It's Castle versus Cam Johnson, the upside of some of those guys. Because we can continue to get better at this year as well, too, which is a scary thing. But the other thing as well, too, that was really impressive, like we were saying, was just them matching the Thunder's vibe. And I think that was the thing that ultimately got us the win because we were even turning the ball over in that game. I think the Thunder might have even gotten the turnover battle. They might have won the turnover battle favorably, but we were still able to go shot for shot with them in the 4th quarter when we needed to. And there was a couple, maybe the league gave us a call or two when they needed it. Did the league want us in the NBA Cup because they know the Thunder are going to be in the finals? I don't know. But watching that game, really upped, of course, what my personal expectations are for this year. And, just continued to be yes, this is the right core of guys going forward perfectly. And even Vassell, and I don't think we really saw Keldon Johnson in that game. I have to double check if he was even active. But the Vassell off the ball production as well, too, was really valuable in his perimeter game. Really hit some clutch shots that helped us out. Was kind of a forgotten, used to be can he be the 2nd best guy on this team? But hey, him as the 4th best guy is not disrespectful. It's now he can move into getting his shots differently offensively and he can still be a 20-point a game guy. Because even this year, like we're saying, Harper, is not necessarily going to fringe on his minutes this year. That could get interesting contract stuff long term. But for right now, this is that good point of the timeline as well too. I mean, we just saw it with OKC, where they still have a bunch of these picks and assets they can work with to help replenish the fact that they're paying their core trio guys nearly $1 billion in total contracts. But the fact that you have maybe the fact that Wemby and Dylan Harper and Steph Castle's total contract might be like one Shai Gilgeous-Alexander year, it's like you can't match these couple of years in terms of maximizing the competitive value. And the fact that the team is able to go toe-to-toe with the best teams in the league, maybe the timeline for what this team could be is, right on course. Because right on course, again, you start going year 7, year 8. Shai's a champion now. Tatum's a champion now. These guys are champions now. And, again, year 7 for Wemby. He's in year 3, but, you start checking the seasons off a little sooner than you think. So, do we need to be in the Western Conference Finals mix this year? Kinda. And I think we are. So, again, will we get there? It's a long season still. But, I mean, the most encouraging game the Spurs have played, in the last 5 years. It is what it is. I mean, obviously, I guess that Nuggets game last year when Wemby was going crazy and single-handedly affecting the playoffs as well too. But this is, we're back. And I haven't had that much fun. I gotta be honest, I haven't had that much fun watching a basketball game in probably in a long time. It's been a long time, chat, because I do get that competitiveness as a fan, where even if I'm in fun games, I am to my own detriment thinking of the ultimate goal of winning a championship every time I'm watching the team play. So again, that can kind of steal joy of like individual moments of like, hey, let's just enjoy this regular season game that's going crazy, where, even if Wemby's affecting the playoff race, even if he's not winning the title this year, he's still affecting the playoff race and still having crazy performances. But, it's like, hey, at the end of the day, I'm out here wanting to, as a fan, I got to, hold us accountable and make sure we're, trying to, I guess, win titles or something like that. But the idea that now this roster right now could potentially compete for these teams, again, it's a little much to say that they could go into OKC and win a 7-game series at this point. OKC would still have home court advantage as well too. That was neutral court, so we go to OKC. It is a totally different ball game, and the environment of that crowd, I mean, is absolutely insane. I mean, they could still probably win in 5 or 6, but it's like this is the group of guys that can win a title, and Fortunately, we have experienced that just in general with rooting for that Spurs core in the past, and especially the end of that run and then bringing in Kawhi. But now to, see that assemble in a more cognitive way as a fan, and, also just be more cognitive of winning a championship. Because even in your teens, you don't necessarily understand, chat. You don't understand how difficult it is to win a championship. But now, once you get in your 20s, I mean, you really get it. You really understand, these sports years. It is what it is. So a couple years off of, a decade or so off of being competitive for the Spurs, but we are back, and we are knocking on the door of being a title contending team again, and Wemby taking over the league, and Steph Castle being right there. Like, I guess maybe the hot take is Steph Castle could be the best number 2 that the Spurs could have. Like, the individual talent, like Parker and Ginobili, the legacy of those guys, we can't sit here and debate that now. You're not going to hear me sitting, we're not debating the legacies of Parker and Ginobili. It is what it is. But I guess Robinson, when Duncan won the title, would be the other case, because Robinson, was an MVP himself. But I think Castle is like now, I guess, is he an MVP? I don't know if we're going to say that much. Could Castle win the MVP of the league without Wembanyama on his own? But I think he's looking like he could be a second-team All-NBA type guy. Again, that last little step. But hey, that's what you need. We have the guy that looks like he could be, the title contending guy, and that second-team All-NBA guy can be maybe, if he has the other guy on the court with him, like a Jaylen. We already said Jaylen Brown, but maybe that's the lane where maybe Steph Castle. I guess that's what it is. I could see Steph Castle winning the Finals MVP over Wembanyama, and then winning the Finals, obviously. But, Wembanyama still being, obviously, the legacy guy. It is what it is. But that would not be surprising to me if we went Spurs Finals at some point, and Steph Castle won Finals MVP. And I guess, you know, if we're saying like it's the Parker, it's the third Finals that they've won, and he's now winning a Finals MVP, sure. But in that Iguodala steals one from Steph type of way, but maybe even more so in a more fair way, I could definitely see it. But yeah, ayo, you know, one regular season game in the NBA Cup on a neutral court. The Thunder won 18 games in a row. Wemby returns fresh after a bunch of games off. You know, there's a lot of things factoring in that lead to games like that. But, you know, you also have to step up and perform, and they definitely did. And Castle looked awesome, and Wemby looked awesome, and, you know, even like we're saying, Fox, he looked pretty good in that game. And there's even levels that Fox could go to as a player as well. But yeah, I mean, the Spurs are now right there for the Western Conference. So stay tuned, chat, because Sam's gonna definitely be calling in soon, and it'll be fun to, you know, calling in soon on one of the upcoming live streams here, and we'll be able to, you know, have the Spurs trending in a championship direction and the Chiefs also. And we should mention Michigan basketball as well too, because I mean, no college football anymore. You know, we got the playoffs up here soon and the bowl game season approaching and all that stuff. But now we're in the we get college basketball on all day. And I forgot how crazy of I don't know why, but just how crazy of a college basketball schedule you can get. I mean, college football is wild. You know, you'll go like, hey, is this like the fourth game of the day on ESPN? You'll be like, oh, that primetime game's up. And then, oh, wait a second, what's this? You know, back in the day, like the Pac-12, we get a little like Arizona, BYU, 9:30 start. And I'll just fall asleep to this, I guess. But like the college basketball, I forget, you go like 5-6 games in a row on a Saturday, and then, you know, if you have a couple of screens going, it's a lot. But the shout out to the college basketball fans out there, I guess, also us, well, you know, that are maybe even more committed to watching games than us at a given time. But Michigan was in a very competitive first half against Maryland, and there was this center, I want to say his name was spelled like Pharrell. I want to say it was maybe pronounced a little bit differently, but it was Pharrell Payne. Was the center that was kind of destroying the game for Michigan and kind of single-handedly having Maryland win that game. So that might be a team and a player to watch as the season goes on, because I don't think it was like a major injury, but I do think that it kept him out for the rest of the game, because what ended up happening was that first half was really, really close, and then the Spurs Thunder game started during halftime. So I thought, well, I'll just jump over and watch this game during halftime, and then just kind of kept watching the Spurs Thunder game and never jumped back over and watched Michigan. And then when I went back to the score, Michigan just absolutely destroyed Maryland in the second half. So I think now we might not be allowed to watch our own team. We might be a bad luck charm because they lost the first half. It's like the one half that we've locked in on in the season now that college football is over, and they lost it, and they immediately just destroyed Maryland. Again, they didn't have their best player, but also we weren't watching. So I don't know. We'll have to give it a test next week. If we watch the first half and then the team that they play next week still has their best player and they destroy him in the second half and we don't watch, then we know it's us. But if it's, say, they drop the game because the team has their best player, then maybe Michigan was just due for a loss. But yeah, I mean, Michigan as well too is looking very good this season, but they might be, you know, like we were saying, you know, the Spurs are building towards something. College basketball, maybe it's a little more instantaneous, so I definitely don't want to jinx that. It is what it is. But we got, what's 60 Minutes doing like what do we got, like Ant-Man technology now in 2026? Oh, chat. Hey, yo, we got like AI intelligence beetles that people are using out here. Oh, this is crazy. This is not good. I mean, we're going to have to throw some sports back on. Hey, yo, it is what it is. Okay, chat, we'll be back later this week. Tuesday night. Hopefully, if we don't have any live stream issues and we don't have to fire up on a Wednesday. For some reason, that's been the case over the last couple of weeks. But hey, if not, show up Tuesday night to see us stumble through some IT issues otherwise. And then, hey, if we have to go live again on Wednesday, shout out. More time hanging out with you guys. We'll take it, chat. We'll take it. Pause. Hey, yo. You won't hear us complaining about it. But the live stream will continue regularly scheduled programming Tuesday night and then Friday after that as well too. So like I said, you know, college football season's winding down, but we got playoffs and stuff later this week, more NBA and, you know, random stuff through the Tuesday show as well too. So you'll just want to stay tuned and see what is going on there. And of course, you can follow us on the podcast feeds as well, Spotify, Apple, and all the various podcast platforms out there if you want to find the live streams available in that format you know, if you need the background play or something like that. But yeah, otherwise, like I said, we'll be back Tuesday night, and we look forward to seeing you all then. Enjoy your next couple of days,